If you've ever seen chart patterns in real life, like clouds in the sky, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Folks, welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We're back here on a Tuesday. Got a lot to do. We've got some news stories to go over. Bank earnings are earnings season kicking off with bank earnings right around the corner. PPI print today, CPI print tomorrow. It's Tuesday, so we got a T3 Tuesday going on. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. Let's get rolling. Good morning and welcome back, folks, and happy Tuesday. I hope you all had a great Monday night. Sorry for all you Vikings fans out there. Today begins the off season and you join the rest of us. Anyway, good to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Guardian of the Galaxy. Well, we're lucky that you're back here. What adventure awaits us today? Something is bound to happen. Any ideas? Yes, we do. We definitely have some things that are going to happen today. We actually have a number of movers today that might provide some pretty good trades. So really looking forward to that. As mentioned, got a T3 Tuesday here today. We've got some data prints. And then starting tomorrow morning, we have earnings season. So absolutely, I really think that there is going to be something is absolutely bound to happen. Idea generation, yeah, we can talk about that as we get prepared here for the market. Welcome. Javi just says straight up short, no other context. Well, welcome, Javi. Hopefully you're not short, meaning height. Maybe short in the market. You know, we are kind of trading up here across the board. At least it was. I know we're off the highs now, about flattish. It did have some green arrows across the board. In fact, let's just take a look around the board here real quick before I bring the chart up. S&P futures up 0.2 right now. So that's still in the green. Dow futures here up almost 0.2, 0.18%, and NASDAQ futures also up 0.2 here today. So we're holding on to green arrows so far. Really, that's all going to change when we get to the PPI. But we'll see. And a short might be the play today. Could you feel maybe a little bit of a trade up in the pre-market and then another weekday? I could see it. We'll see if that's what we end up getting here. Anyway, Javi, welcome. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Paul, good morning. Edelman, good morning. Chuck, it's great to see you again. Good morning. Big Bees, I know you're ready to go. Good morning. Hugh, good morning. Sebastian, Faluna in the house. Every day, man. Every day that I'm breathing, you're going to see me here. Sebastian, welcome back. Jonathan, welcome back. Sun-kissed Yogi, welcome back. Hustle and Bustle, welcome back. Good morning, Robert Smith. Welcome back. Captain Cloudy, Asar, White Chocolate Mocha, 3D, all in the house. Welcome back. Lou, welcome back. Hadid, welcome back. It's good to see you, man. Let me know if you had any, like closing thoughts on CES. I know you said you were attending. We saw that last week. What was your biggest takeaway, both good and bad? And then how would you recap the event? I'd be curious to know. No rush on that answer. Jonathan, good morning. Welcome back. Jonathan saying, great to see the production quality is getting better. From my side, the sound levels just need working now. Music is super loud and Ryan is a little low in comparison. Well, is Ryan's volume okay? Because I think I can probably turn my volume up just by adjusting my mic. You'll have to let me know. I thought I had my levels pretty well set. You might just be referring to the difference in the volumes with which we can work on. I will say our producers, they're always at work. They never really take time off. Even though you don't see them, they are working. So Jonathan, the team appreciates that. And again, we look forward to having some big strides here in 2025. Jay Walker, good morning. It's good to see you. Whisk, good morning. Diamond Hotline, good morning. Jose and Ed, good morning. Jay Harris, good to have you locked in the house. Edelman, tomorrow's my birthday. Well, we better prepare and have a good day today so you can have a good birthday tomorrow. Eva, it's great of you to join us again. Good morning. It's nice to see you. Glenn and Kayla, welcome back. More mic now, please. You turned it down. I definitely did not turn it down. Okay, so I turned it up. We'll kick it up another notch there, and we'll see how it goes. Brandy, good morning. It's good to see you. Mic is clean for me. 5G connection. Bang. We're all good. All right, we'll see how we do. Let's go ahead and bring up the chart here today. We'll talk about the SPY. We'll roll through some of the different news stories here. Here's your SPY chart. We'll start here. I'll be honest. Yesterday, the action felt like we were kind of putting in a near-term bottom. Now, I'm trying to be cautious using that term because I certainly don't think the market has bottomed. And in fact, when I talked about this yesterday in happy hour, I realized that by using the term bottom, I might be sending the wrong message. So glad I'm able to kind of clarify that here today. Yesterday's trading action felt like the market kind of wanted to trade back up and bounce. You can see here from the daily chart, we actually traded beneath the 100-day moving average, which is this teal line here. That value is 180.98. The current value here of the SPY, 182.57. We actually dipped below that moving average yesterday and then closed above it. And that kind of felt like, maybe this is trying to put in a near-term bottom, which is why I ended up choosing that. If you look inside here at the SPY, you can see we were weak in the morning. We tried to retest that pre-market low pretty much right out of the gate here. We bounced and then we kind of rolled back over and retested that area again, maybe not right to the penny, but that same area. And then we just kind of drifted higher the rest of the day. It almost felt as if, the market was testing to see if it wanted to break down, but it wasn't quite ready. So it just said, you know what, let's try this another day. And it maybe traded back up a little bit. You could see we traded up in the after hours. And again, we were up here a little bit in the pre-market. All of this, I think, is going to change or be confirmed when we get that PPI print. That really, to me, is what's going to set the tone for today. And we'll see what happens going forward after that. But it sure felt a little bit different. The other thing that felt different about yesterday is that the breadth was just not as poor as it has been the last several sessions, where it's just the breadth was just bad across the board. Yesterday, the IWM, the SPY, and the New York Stock Exchange all had green breadth in terms of a ratio. There were more stocks trading up than trading down. So we'll see. We'll see if this was just kind of a bull trap, maybe lured in a couple of more people on a bounce, and then just kind of flush them out to low. Again, I think the PPI print that we're getting here in 22 minutes is going to really kind of tell the story. No matter what that print is, we'll be ready, and we'll be looking to trade. The reaction and whatever happens. How can I listen to the happy hour? The happy hour is a exclusive Zoom meeting for pro members. So in order to be a part of the happy hour, whether you're going to participate or simply just listen, you also need to be a Benzinga Pro customer. That's the platform that we share here every day. It's a newswire, scanners, and a bunch of other tools to help you uncover ideas. If you are interested in that, you can always reach out to me, and I will do my best to find you the best possible sale price for that. We're always looking to take members of our community, especially our YouTube community, and then fold them into the Benzinga ecosystem. We believe a rising tide lifts all boats. So I'm happy to help with that. Just reach out to me if that's something that you're interested in. But good question. Okay, let's talk about the SPY here. So we took a look at the chart. We took a look at some of the areas. Also, one more thing to mention here, the 582.30 level that we've talked about previously, former resistance level as well as a former support level, that actually might be in play today. Current price here, 581.39. So if we trade up at all today, that 582.30 level is likely going to come into play. We'll see if we find some significant resistance there, or if we're actually able to close above that. If we do close above that, then we can start setting our sights on 590. I know we talked about 590 and 591. Looking at the daily chart here, you also have the 20-day moving average at 591.84 and the 50-day moving average at 593.73. So that 590 to 591 area is definitely going to have some type of resistance in there. There's also a little bit more above with that 50-day moving average. And then, of course, if we can recapture those, then you can really start talking about a bullish move. We're not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not positioned for that. But these are a couple of things that I'm watching. And then, of course, on the other end, if we just get slam back down to the lows, if we break down, if we just delete the green arrows that we've had this morning, which is totally possible, don't get me wrong, I really do think that we start setting our sights on this 200-day moving average over the next, let's call it maybe a week or 2 weeks. I would imagine maybe earnings season exacerbates that. I don't know. But to me, it sure seems like if we can't get any type of bullishness to stick here in the near future, I suspect we roll back over. Now, long term, again, this is great. Like, let's have some of these valuations reset. Let's have some of the froth removed from the market. And let's see what we can get if we do trade down to one of those support levels. I will not be freaking out about that. I would be extremely happy about that if we ended up getting that. So, all right, Hadid here. The venue expanded this year, and my favorite section was Eureka Park, home to the best cutting-edge technology. Okay, I'd like to hear about what some of that cutting-edge technology is, and then if you know what companies might benefit or be impacted, I should say, from that. Okay. Let's keep rolling here. Market overview. U.S. stocks poised to gain a day after the tech stocks dragged the NASDAQ down. Well, we'll see what the PPI has to say about that. Analyst calls market, quote, overly optimistic as S&P traders, as the S&P 500 trades at 23 times forward earnings. So producer went ahead and threw that here in the chat. I wanted to go ahead and discuss this article here. They bring this, the analyst that's mentioned here is Jeremy Siegel. They bring him on all the time on CNBC. We should all kind of be familiar with him. And there was a quote in here that I wanted to go over. So basically, they're just talking about how this might kind of trade down. They mentioned that the treasury yields, which is something that we talked about yesterday, the 10-year and the 2-year treasury notes yielded 4.77 and 4.38 respectively. The probability of having no change in the interest rates for the upcoming January 31st decision was at 97.3%. We talked about that yesterday. The quote here, he describes the markets as, quote, overly optimistic, end quote, and the S&P 500 trades at 23 times forward earnings. According to Siegel, the consensus earnings growth of 16% for 2025 is likely too high, and an 8 to 9% increase is more realistic. Quote, consequently, the market could see a correction as valuations adjust to higher rates and modern growth expectations, end quote. Dude, where have you been? Like, that's my first follow-up question here for Jeremy Siegel. Where have you been? We at this show and at Benzinga here, pretty much in all the stuff that we've been doing, we've been saying this for a long time. How on earth is this news? Consequently, the market could see a correction as valuations adjust to higher rates and moderated growth expectations. Duh. I mean, this to me is just, it's not really news. It's not really news to me. And so I don't know how many people are going to be caught offside by this. I don't think any. We've been kind of waiting out a move down here. We've been talking about valuations being stretched. We've looked at individual names that have ridiculous multiples, like Palantir, for example. So none of this is really new, but this is kind of making the rounds here today. So again, I'm gonna keep trying to get you prepared for everything that's going on here. I do expect at some point we're going to see a move down here in the market. I think that's good long term for the market. Some of these talking heads, they seem to say fairly ridiculous things. I guess I'll just leave it at that. So we'll see here if the S&P ends up rolling over again. Just as I mentioned, the PPI, that's really going to tell the story here today. Okay, let's talk about everyone's favorite stock here. Well, one of the favorite stocks of the group here. Let's talk about Tesla. Tesla share, here's your daily chart, by the way. Those fibs have really, really worked well here for Tesla. Tesla shares rise over 2% after hours on Morgan Stanley's price target hike and full self-driving breakthroughs. Gary Black, a notable Tesla bull, highlights key drivers. We can go to that story as well. I'm sure the producer is going to help me out here with that one. But let's take a look here. You know what? Before we do the story, let's actually start with the chart. I meant to do that here. I apologize. We had this huge rise. We talked a lot about this stock trading up like 94% or whatever since the election. definitely got overheated despite Elon being connected to the incoming administration. Still 90 something percent in just a matter of a couple weeks is just too far too fast. And so it's not surprising to see we get a little bit of a pullback here. I don't think that should really shock anybody. Now, the price action here is actually pretty good. I know we're right above the 50-day moving average, which we have at just about 371. I've got it at 370.92 here, just about 391, or excuse me, 371. If you take a look at the bottom wicks here that Tesla's put in, that first one was put in here on January 2nd. If you take a look at these, it sure looks like Tesla's trying to form a near-term bottom here as well, right? Generally speaking, in most cases, at least, bottoms don't look like perfect Vs. They often look messy like this as the price tries to discover what that support area is. And so maybe that's what we're getting here on Tesla. Now, Tesla here, if we look inside at what's going on here, you can kind of get a full appreciation for everything that's going on. Yes, this did trade up in the after hours, but really this ramped into the close yesterday. Tesla actually ended up having a pretty good day yesterday when it was all said and done. Moved from about 382 up to 405. So pretty sweet day trade. I'm sure we're going to be watching this one here again today. In the pre-market here, we gave back a little bit of what we had yesterday, but this is not really anything terrible. I still expect this to be in play today, especially given the news here that's going on. Now, if we take a look at the story here, let's dive into what Gary is actually talking about here. So Tesla shares rose more than 2% in the back of the Morgan Stanley price increase. Okay, that's one thing. Morgan Stanley raised its price target from $430 from $400. Okay, we see that all the time. It's not an upgrade. It's just a price target readjustment. Good, nonetheless, but not a huge catalyst there. And increased its bull case to 800. Citing opportunities in autonomous rideshare and robo-taxi services. Okay, so he's basically doing some napkin math here. And one of the things that came out of this, and again, I have to take all of this with a grain of salt because autonomous driving is not something that moves the needle for me. It certainly wouldn't factor really into any bull case I have on a stock. I'm someone that likes driving. I don't think that this is the greatest thing in the world. We'll see what it means for actual numbers at the end. But regardless, we got a PR here, or we got news here about the highway miles disengagements. And so you guys that have actually used self-driving, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But this is basically how many miles the car goes without disengaging for some reason. So obviously the more, and on the highway, it's easier to do that. So the more miles the car can drive, I guess the better you would assume that the self-driving is. Looks like a 13.2x improvement in highway miles disengagements. So if this is a big thing for you, if autonomous driving and at Tesla and everywhere else is a big thing for you, I guess this is a pretty good PR. This is, again, timing here pretty good. This is combined with the Morgan Stanley price target upgrade, and Tesla had a nice little day yesterday and having kind of a nice day here today. Now, again, we've fallen a little bit here in the pre-market, but we've done a really good job holding on to 408 so far. We'll see if we end up doing that. Looking back here, maybe 405.5 might be another level for Tesla here to hold if it continues to come in. But that's what's going on here with Tesla. I feel like we get news on this stock almost every single day. We'll take a look at how this one trades here. Also, one of the things I want to watch, I didn't have any outstanding unusual options trades that I've kind of flagged and noticed recently. I will see if we see more option flow in the name here today. Next stock here, just to kind of continue with the EV theme, is going to be Rivian, another very popular stock here amongst our group. Rivian outsells Ford in U.S. electric vehicle market. 68% growth in 2024 outpaces the legacy rival. I'm not terribly surprised at the actual numbers that we're getting here. If online sentiment means anything, Rivian is way more popular than Ford. So now we're getting some pretty good numbers to go along with it. The thing for me on Rivian has always been the same. I understand the EV. I understand that people really kind of like the cars, or like the trucks, I should say. I get all of that. Company still just loses too much money for me for the stock to make a whole lot of sense. Looks like they actually have kind of started to lose less than $1 billion a quarter, although we're still pretty close there. I guess as these delivery numbers ramp, as Rivian proliferates, maybe this stock will end up doing something here. We'll see. Don't forget, some of the big pieces of news that we've got on Rivian were the investment from Volkswagen, which of course the first one here was back here. This is back in July. No, maybe it wasn't. It was right here. It was in June of 2024. I was going to say 2023 is too far back. It popped it. It sold all the way off. We never really got back up there. We actually have a pretty well-defined trend going on right here. You could actually draw it this way. If you wanted to, you could really kind of draw it this way. This is how I would opt to do it. We tried to break through that trend line. We really couldn't hold it. So we'll see. At some point, I agree, there's going to be a good trade here. I'm just not sure that we're here yet. The other thing is if the market really takes a dive and we really do correct, I don't think stocks like Rivian are going to be immune to that, right? I would imagine we'd see even more. So if I'm a long-term Rivian bull, I'm the same. I'm waiting for a market pullback here. I suspect we'd probably be able to add this at a much cheaper price. I mean, just looking at the price here today, Rivian at just shy of $14. The stock looks a lot more attractive at $9. Especially given its cash position. But in any case, that's what's going on here with Rivian. They outsell Ford in the U.S. electrical van market. Remember, I don't, that's not the truck market, it's the van market. I don't know stats on how great the van market is, but nonetheless, that's one more notch on the belt here for Rivian. Okay, next, going to be KB Homes. I believe this is KBH. KB Home. KB Home Q4 earnings, a revenue beat, EPS beat, home deliveries up 17%, net orders soar, and more. So you look at the KB Home chart here, we were kind of coming back in towards that 500. Really looked like we were going after a support level here. Actually looked like we had some recent weakness here. And then we get this report, bang, plus 9.8%, or in this case now up over 10% here. We reclaimed 70. KB Homes looks like this is definitely trying to go higher here. A lot of this, you know, we talked to you. One of the things that we discussed yesterday on Happy Hour was going to be, what does the fires in California mean for some of these builders, right? First of all, are they going to be busy because they're going to have to rebuild a lot of these homes? A lot of the time with fire damage, you really have to just rebuild the structure. You can't necessarily fix it. And then do they have the labor to do this, right? If the demand for all these new homes is going to be so great, do they actually have enough labor to get these new homes built? Here, at least, this is a pretty good start here on the backs of those earnings, which the producers put on the screen here. KB Homes is a really good pop here. I would imagine, let's take a look at some of the other stocks here. Toll Brothers looks like this is trading up in sympathy here in the pre-market here, and then Pulte Homes. What is that? Pulte, PHM. Yeah, Pulte Group. There we go. That also trading up here in the pre-market. So it looks like those earnings here driving some of the other home builders. Home builders definitely a sector to watch, given the wildfires down in California. We'll see how these respond. The other thing is obviously these are going to be rate driven, right? So we kind of floated ideas that California as a state might work some type of deal for interest rates in order to help people while interest rates are high. So we'll see how this all shakes out. Some things to take a look at here. Hustle and bustle. I'd love to see numbers on the builders like KB and Toll in that market. Hustle and bustle. I'd like to get your opinion on any of these numbers. I know that we also have some housing numbers coming on Friday. I'd love to get your opinion on any of this stuff that breaks here. I'd love to get your opinion on the builders. I know you're saying you want to see some more numbers. Touche. Totally get it. But let me know if you have any opinions on that. So KB Home earnings higher here by 10%, also raising some of the other in that sector there. Next piece of news here is going to be on TikTok. Don't really have a ticker for that. I guess we could kind of look at Snap, Meta, Pinterest, maybe some of the other traditional social media stocks might kind of be connected to this. TikTok, Elon Musk emerges as potential TikTok U.S. buyer as the ban deadline looms. Company terms it, quote, pure fiction, end quote. I don't really know what's going to happen here. I could see this being the case. The company saying it's pure fiction. I don't really know what to put into that. I'll be honest with you. This piece of news, as someone that, I mean, maybe I'm just too old. I don't really care about TikTok, but as someone that doesn't really use TikTok a whole lot or really kind of appreciate TikTok, this to me is kind of a non-starter here. If you guys are trading social media companies, I'd like to hear how this kind of all works together for you folks, but I wouldn't put too much into this. We'll just sit back with some popcorn, watch the saga unfold. With that, let me know what you guys think. Does Elon buy it? Producer, if we don't have a poll question here today, maybe that's it. Does Elon buy TikTok? Yes, no, or I'm drunk or at Costco or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure out something for that. Next here is going to be Meta. Meta platforms. We talked a little bit about this. Obviously, Mark Zuckerberg on Friday going on the Joe Rogan podcast. Meta here today. Meta investors push Mark Zuckerberg to replace $72 billion cash with Bitcoin to combat inflation. Here's what it means for investors. So this is interesting here. We have some Meta investors, obviously not all of them, but a cohort here saying, hey, adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet, not a bad idea. Oh, and by the way, that also might help the company fight inflation, right? If they keep printing more money, Bitcoin keeps going up, that could help. This is an interesting idea. I don't know what kind of traction this is actually going to gain. Looking at Meta here this morning, stocks down 0.9% here in the pre-market. Unsure that the stock really moves on this, but long term, I could see this being a catalyst. Now, a lot of this depends on how much Bitcoin they're going to buy, what they plan to do with it, et cetera, et cetera. But it's an interesting idea. And I think the other thing that I find so interesting about all of this is that more and more companies are doing this. We talked about Cooler, a little micro cap company doing this. Meta's a huge company. And so I'm just kind of curious to see how this would work. I am not against this idea. I don't know necessarily how that's going to affect the stock price. We'll see how this is going to shake out over the long term. Again, I don't really see a positive reaction to that here today, but an interesting story nonetheless, and something else for us to keep on our radar, especially if we see more news like this. How do these stocks react? How long does it take to react? Does the addition of Bitcoin represent a net positive or a net negative? Once it's added to the balance sheet. A lot of more questions than answers at that point, but I find this interesting. I guess if you're not a proponent of Bitcoin, if you view it as a Ponzi scheme or whatever, this is probably not a good piece of news. Probably not excited about this, but we'll see where this goes. All right, let's talk a little bit about semis here. Start by looking at the SMH, which is really just kind of in a sideways pattern and doing a really good job staying above its 200-day there. Analyst sees a broadening rally in semiconductors in 2025. Two top stock picks and two stocks to avoid. So here, I'm going to go ahead and share the article. Looks like producer's going to throw that article in the chat here. So here you go. Semiconductor analyst is Vivek Arya, and he expects a, quote, surprising broadening rally in semis. Now, I don't know how surprising this actually is. Fairly certain there's some other tech bulls that are saying the same thing. Dan Ives, I think, is on this page. Tom Lee is on this page, or on the same page. Dan Niles, I believe. And if I'm misquoting these people, I'm sorry. I know sometimes opinions change here. I don't get to watch as much CNBC as I used to. So I apologize if I got one of those wrong, but I'm pretty sure some of those prominent tech analysts are still bullish on semiconductors. And it doesn't, That's not a terrible surprise here. This year will mark a widening divide between AI cycles and cyclical have-nots, Arya says. So it looks like almost like a rich get richer here. We expect the first half of 2025 to be dominated by AI stocks with easier comps and presumed macro improvement, leading into the second half with cyclical rotation. So what this means for us, especially, I mean, obviously, if you guys have long-term views on stocks like Nvidia and all that, that's one thing. But the other thing that this means for our day-to-day here is that he's basically saying that AI is going to be a prominent theme in 2025. And I can guarantee you that if the first half of 2025 is dominated by AI stock performance, then the same type of thing that we have been getting in terms of PRs about smaller stocks and all of that, that's going to continue. We're going to keep doing the same playbook here. So that's something to watch for. Okay, looks like the PPI is out. Let's go to it. Let's go back to Pro here. We'll go ahead and break that down. S&P futures popping here on that. So it looks like we got some good news here. U.S. PPI month over month for December, 0.2 versus the 410 estimate. Soft number there. The prior read was 0.4. There you go. USA core PPI month over month for December, 0% versus the 0.3 estimate. Again, light there. The prior read was 0.2. PPI year over year for December, 3.3% versus the 3.5% estimate. The prior read was for 0.3. And the USA core PPI year over year for December, 3.5 versus the 3.8. So light across the board there. S&P futures popping here, up 0.3%. NASDAQ up 0.85%, and the Dow up 0.6% here. So first data point, the one that we were talking about, the one that we were kind of waiting for, it is now under our belt, light on all of those, and market is trading higher here. So we'll see if this should set the stage for today for what we're going to get. All right. Really good stuff here. Glad we were able to get that out of the way. As I mentioned earlier, it is a T3 Tuesday, so put your hands together. We are going to bring on our guest, Derrick Oldensmith. Let's go ahead and bring him on to the Pre-Market Playbook. All right, Derrick, good morning. How are you? Happy Tuesday. Happy T3 Tuesday, as we call it around these parts. Just got those PPI numbers. How you doing this morning, boss?
Good morning. I'm doing well, trying to manage my 22 open positions as we're moving very rapidly with this PPI right as I'm sitting in with you. So definitely an exciting morning to do some multitasking, but really happy to be here like always.
Okay, awesome. I completely understand the multitasking. I understand if you've got trades on and things that you need to get to, no problem at all. If you wanted to share your screen, you're welcome to. If you'd like me to just drive because it's easier, I can do that for you as well, no problem. So you let me know what you want to do. I do have a couple of questions for you. I wasn't going to start with the PPI, but I guess maybe we should at this point. What does this print mean for you? And I suppose, how are you going to trade in the short term, given what you just saw here?
Sure. So PPI came in light. The movement on the PPI is never as big or as important as CPI, at least 95% of the time. But this
Indeed.
is something that the market really needed right now. We have, in my opinion, three major potential macro risks to this market. Risk number one is policy related with the new administration, just a ton of uncertainty there in regards to tariffs. We're actually seeing a little bit of relief on that this morning with some news coming out that the tariffs might come on incrementally as opposed to all at once. So we were already getting a little bit of relief this morning with the market gap up that was coming from that, and the dollar that was gapping down a little bit this morning, which was needed. So that's risk number one. Risk number two is that we're coming into earnings season here. These Mag 7 earnings reports are so important because there's such a large percentage of the S&P and the NASDAQ, specifically with what those reports look like given AI spend and the revenue that is beginning to come in from that AI spend for these Mag 7 companies. I think if those companies miss on their reports, it could represent a very significant risk. And then number three is just specifically coming from a tightening that we're seeing in the bond market and the dollar move. So the TLT here has just been getting absolutely smoked. Interest rates are moving higher. The 10-year got up to 4.8%. If anything, the biggest surprise is that hasn't weighed more on the equity market than it's shown us at this point. That combined with the dollar that's just been totally ripping higher is what I would describe as the third major risk to the market. Now, this morning we're getting some broad relief. I already mentioned we're getting some relief on the tariff stuff with the headlines that might come in a little bit more incrementally. So the market was already liking that. And then this light PPI, we'll see what happens with CPI, but the light PPI here is definitely a start to help give us a little additional relief on this market. Now, the final thing is, will the gap up this morning hold? We really broke through some support levels on Friday and on Monday yesterday. The SPYs were able to kind of recapture this key 580 level yesterday. We're back up at 585 this morning, but that's just touching into a declining 8 EMA at this point. So some improvement there, but not an all clear sign yet. For the Qs, I'm really watching this 510 level that's getting tested pre-market this morning. I think that's a line in the sand where we can begin to have a little bit of a healing process and get the market back above. And then finally, for the IWM, these are three major indexes that I pay attention to. It's 218, which are also back above this morning. So we definitely have an improving picture this morning. Can the levels hold? That is the key question. And the final thing I would say is the VIX. Pay attention to the VIX in conjunction with the market. Where is the VIX trading? The VIX is back below 20 this morning. I think that's a positive for the market. Let's see if it holds below 20. And if you get an acceleration in the VIX beyond the 22 and especially $25 level, then I think that actually would create a further cratering in the market. But the flip side is, if realized vol can start to compress a little bit more again, then this market could recapture a strong underlying bid that brings us right back up to highs.
Okay, that was an excellent breakdown, Derrick. Real quick, trade with Derrick for free in his Pro Desk virtual trading floor, January 14th through 17th. Link is in the chat and in the description. Also have a QR code there on the screen, so be sure to check that out. Okay, really good breakout there. I completely agree with pretty much everything that you said there. One of the things that I noted this morning that I was kind of watching yesterday as I was watching the market trade was we kind of had a change yesterday in breadth. The breadth has been so poor the last several sessions for all of the different indexes. Yesterday was the first day where things looked a little bit different. I think the IWM, the SPY, and the NASDAQ all were green in terms of stocks up versus stocks going down, albeit minorly. And now, like you were talking about, we had that light number there on the PPI. So we'll see if this holds. I'm with you there. And I think that whether or not this holds is going to tell us a lot going forward here. So, okay, so really good stuff. I did have a couple of questions here, not to change tracks too much, but my viewers would not let me out of here alive if I didn't ask you about what the quantum stocks have been doing recently. We talked to Adam Mesh about some of these. I want to know, what do you think about this whole quantum craze? Did you trade it, and what are you looking for going forward here?
It's almost as if I pitched you that question ahead of time so that I could stroke my ego a little bit and tell you how great of a trader I am.
Here we go. Let's go.
The quantum short is overall, because I traded so many of them, one of the best trades I've ever had in my entire career. I was short and did very well with RGTI, QUBT, LAES, KULR, IonQ. I feel like I had the whole complex of these things, QBTS. I was short all of them. I was short them on size. This move to me made absolutely 0 sense with where they were trading. Now, the tricky part about trading is you could have looked, in my opinion, at RGTI back in mid-December when this thing was trading at $10, $11 and said, this makes absolutely no sense. The stock just went from $1.50 to $10 here. The company in the first 3 quarters of 2024 has had $8 million in revenue and is trading at like a $2.5 billion valuation, something like that. And if you began to just short in mid-December at $10, you were getting your face ripped off by the time this thing got up to $20, and still only had $8 million of revenue in the first 3 quarters of 2024, but now was trading at like a $5.6 billion valuation. So the move made absolutely no sense to me, but the timing on it when it comes to these squeezes and these types of stocks can be very, very difficult, because if you just blindly short something because you think it doesn't make any sense, especially if it's a low float stock, which luckily RGTI and most of the names I focused on were not low floats, especially if you're trying to do this in something that's low float, it could be career ending. So timing is really important. Game planning is really important. I remember I had shorted RGTI back here on like this December 18th move, but I got all out of it into the next day pullback on December 19th. And then it gave this next wave higher. And I started to really, really layer into these on the short side. We saw this shooting star come in. RGTI was my heaviest one, even though I was in all of these. So that's why I'm just focusing on this chart.
Sure.
We had the shooting star come in on the upside on January 6th, where this was really struggling with the $20 level for a couple of days in a row. We had some weakness on the 7th. And then we had Jensen Huang come out that evening and say, hey, I think quantum is a great idea for the future, but it's 20, 30 years away. And then these things just got absolutely, absolutely crushed. I mean, this RGTI is basically a pre-revenue company. Like I said, $8 million in revenue in the first 3 quarters of 2024. The interesting thing about it is I'm actually long right now. I flipped long for just a cute little potential bounce back trade. I don't have nearly the same amount of conviction or size as I did on the short. But now that we've had 3, 4 really big down days in a row where these things have cratered from, just using RGTI as an example, $20+ down to $6, and there's a little bit of a support area around this 6 or a little bit below it. I'm looking to see if I can get a few dollars snapback on these things, with my saying that I genuinely don't believe in them. I think that these things belong lower than where they're currently trading even now. But the way that markets work is they work in periods of time where you get these little bounce backs even on the way down. And after 3 really big down days in a row, I want to see if I can get a little bit of a bounce back in this RGTI to somewhere between $8 and $9. I'm also long QUBT for a similar bounce back. I want to see if I can get a little bit of a bounce back in this thing, maybe back to $9. I've got SOUN. This was another one that I was short, not a quantum play, more of an AI play, but it was trading similarly with these quantum names. Did well on the short side. I'm long this morning, looking for a little bit of a bounce back. Maybe I can get a move to 14 quarter, 14.50, something like that. So not being too greedy. I genuinely don't believe in them, but these things have created phenomenal trading opportunities, I think, on both sides of the market.
Yeah, I think that you're totally right there. So would it be fair to say then that you kind of stalked this short based on just the financial position of the company, right? You talked about a pre-revenue here. There's market hype and all of that that's driving it. But would you say that the valuation is like the primary metric here, where you're like, this is just way too skewed, and I'm going to try and play a regression back to the mean? Is that fair?
Yeah, so the way that I broadly describe my approach to trading is 85% technical analysis, 15% fundamental analysis.
Okay.
I like to utilize an understanding of fundamentals to just give me an idea of what's going on with the market, of what's going on with individual companies. Do they belong, whatever that means, at certain prices, at certain levels? Do the fundamentals justify that or not? But like I was saying, I would argue that in mid-December, the fundamentals didn't justify RGTI to be at $10, yet it went to 20 plus before it actually broke. So that's where the technicals come in. The technicals tell you the timing, the risk management, the game planning, how to maximize reward. So technicals, I think, are the most important thing. But if you can combine that with a little bit of a fundamental thesis, it gives you greater conviction on your trades when they properly set up.
Okay, that's very, very well said. And you had highlighted there Jensen Wong coming out and saying, yeah, really, quantum, it's 15 to 30 years before we find something, quote, very useful, end quote. Those are the words that he used. Unsure if you caught the D-Wave or the QBTS CEO on CNBC defending it, saying, hey, you know, quantum is here right now. We have some customers that are using quantum computing right now, like MasterCard, which I believe was one of the ones he cited. Yeah, I mean, they're doing like 2 million revs. This company still cash flows negative, 16 million a quarter. I mean, I think that's a really heads up. Like, to be able to look at the price really kind of trading up and saying, nah, fundamentally, this doesn't make sense. Now I'm having technicals flash like the shooting star that you had just talked about. I think that's really, really, that's an awesome trade thesis here. I do. One of the viewers here asking about RGTI. Ask him about RGTI. Is it trading to 68.1 on the Fibonacci? So I guess I'm the broader question here is, you were talking about technicals. Do you use things like Fibonacci levels or retracements at all for planning a trade?
So I don't use Fibonacci's specifically. I do pay attention, broadly speaking, to percentage retracements in trend, because I think that's just important to know. As it pulled back, you know, a quarter of the move, a third of the move, half the move, three quarters of the move. Like, I think that's like a general good thing to pay attention to, though I don't necessarily believe in like magical numbers based on the fibs that are going to be super important to stocks. So I'm a relatively simple technical analyst. I mainly just use Japanese candlesticks, volume, and a couple moving averages that are important to me, mainly the 8 and 21 EMA. Also, we'll look at like a 200 simple moving average. And primarily that's it for my own trading. Now, that's not to say that I don't pay attention to other things when traders on my team communicate them. I'll pay attention to an RSI or a MACD or a fib level or any other information that a trader can provide me, because I view that as what I describe as a layer of probability. If I am already looking at RGTI coming into a potential support level between like $5.80 and $6 to see if I can get a bounce trade off that after 4 down days in a row, and then a team member, or in this case, one of your viewers says, hey, that corresponds with the whatever Fibonacci level, I'll go, oh, great. That means I have a whole extra layer of probability, a whole extra piece of information that's on my side of the trade, which therefore just means that I have a higher probability of success. If there is another successful trader that sees the same thing that I see in a different way, that just gives me greater conviction overall in the trade.
Okay. Just really, really lights out stuff here, Derrick. Appreciate that. Trade with Derrick for free in his Pro Desk virtual trading floor, January 14th through 17th. That's today, folks. Starts today. Link is in the chat here, and then also a QR code on the screen. Okay, I'll get you out of here on this, Derrick. Are you preparing at all for the earnings season, which starts this week with the banks? I know you talked a little bit there about some of the Mag 7s. Those don't start till a little bit later this month. I think it's January 29th for Meta and Microsoft, and then January 30th for Apple. We get the bank stocks starting this Wednesday before the open with JP Morgan, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs. Are you preparing for this at all? Are you looking to trade this at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the banks are a main focus of mine, but I do trade them. I think that the banks are like a little bit of a tease for the beginning of earnings season, just to start getting everybody a little bit excited. Not necessarily the most important, well, they're pretty important companies, but not necessarily the biggest movers that are out there that you're necessarily going to be day trading every day. But it's the hype factor. It's like, all right, earnings season is starting. We got the financials, and that's going to lead into all the really big important companies that I'll almost certainly be trading. I'll be paying attention to these financials. I want to see if this XLF can get back above $49, which I think is an important level. I think that Bank of America has been trading pretty well. I think that Citi has been trading particularly well. The 74 level is one to pay attention to. There's a ton of relative strength there. The retest of $71 yesterday was probably very viable on a retest of like a previous resistance level that now held as support. So yeah, let's be excited for the beginning of earnings season. I love it.
Okay. Real good stuff, Derrick. Again, thank you very much. Trade with Derrick for free is Pro Virtual Trading Desk. QR code on the screen. Derrick, thanks so much for the time here. Great job on those quantum names. Can't wait to hear what the next theme is. Until next time, have a great one. All right, my man?
Thanks for having me. I'll see you next time.
Always take care. That is Derrick Oldensmith from T3 Trading. Really, really awesome stuff there. Tell you what, those quantum names, and you've heard from multiple people now, those quantum names have provided some of the best setups we've seen in a long time here. Awesome job there by Derrick, just making a killing on them. So, okay, real good stuff here. We got a busy morning and we are trucking through here. Lots of good stuff. Derrick's departure, of course, leaves room for 13. Let's go ahead and see how 13 is doing this morning. 13, how are you, my man?
So let me turn my mic on there. I'm doing all right this morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Look, woke up this morning, saw some green arrows. That you must know that personally for me was a pretty happy thing. As I said yesterday in happy hour, that I think we put in a near-term bottom and nobody was on my side. And so here we go, a little bit of green arrows here in the pre-market. That was good to see. And then we, of course, had that PPI print. Now, we just talked to Derrick about that. PPI came in light across the board. That sent the market higher here. But really the question is going to be, do we hold this? This is one of the things that Derrick was just saying. This is one of the things that we've kind of talked about with a lot of some of these prints. What do you think here on just the broader market? Well, either the data print or where the SPY is or any of that. You go from wherever you want.
I realize that we're higher this morning, but I think to call this day over already before the
it's the day's not over. To be clear, the day's not over. I'm just saying I have to take some enjoyment in some of the things that I'm seeing. This is all the data I have so far.
Well, I still think that we do need to resolve lower. I mean, yesterday in happy hour was talking about two particular levels. One we're pretty close to right now. The 582.30. We moved over that in the after hours yesterday after kind of going sideways beneath it, and then this morning we tested it as support. And now we're coming up to the other area where I said this was essentially more or less the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern we had on the SPY. So to get through that area, which is where these two previous all-time highs were of 585.27 and 586.12, that we need to clear in order for me to be like, yeah, we probably have a near-term bottom in. But I still think that ultimately this goes lower. We did get the PPI print. That was cooler than expected. So not surprised to see a rally here. Now we have the CPI coming tomorrow. And I suppose the hope's going to be that that shows something similar. I don't know what the CPI print is going to tell us, or I don't have any predictions on it, but I still don't feel like inflation's been solved.
Yeah, I agree with you on inflation being solved. Like I said, I'm going to take a victory lap whenever I can. I don't even know if this is going to hold yet. We might roll over and go red here today, 13. So we'll see. We'll see how that call finishes up. But okay, really good stuff there. Do you want to go ahead and start taking a look at movers? Did you have anything else that you want to take a look at first? Whatever you want, we can go from all of that.
Let's go ahead and get into the movers so that we can be ready when these start picking up in the pre-market.
Boom. All right. First one here that we're going to talk about at the top of the list, ticker N. I already screwed it up. Can you believe that? Ticker NMHI. This is Nature's Miracle Holding. Yesterday morning, we had a securities purchase agreement. This thing actually dropped out of the open, but here in the pre-market, this thing is absolutely ramping. We did have another news catalyst here today. DeBoral Capital served as placement agent to Nature's Miracle Holding, announces a $29.7 million financing. Stock's up 138% here. Now, there's a couple of these stocks that we're going to talk about do have some notable short interest. This one's actually on the lower end. 7% of the float shorted, only 1 day to cover. And then taking a look here at the share structure, right in the butter zone that we're looking for, 2.1 million shares traded. So what do you think here, NMHI?
I think this is interesting because we've been discussing indoor farming for a while now, and I think this is right up in there with indoor farming. So we might see more companies like this if food security continues to be an issue that I expect it will be. This company has 2.1 million shares in the float, 7% short interest, like you said, and they did a 1-for-30 reverse split back on November 21st. So that's why they have a 2.1 million share float. The company does need cash. They apparently got it already because they just got that $2.9 million
29.7. Sorry.
29. Sorry, 29. You're right. 29 million. So that is something they sorely needed. So that takes care of that problem. And the low float should help this move pretty easily. Now, back to the indoor farming thing. I didn't know when we were going to expect to see some of these show up, but I think this is something we shouldn't kind of like this, okay, just another one of these movers. Let's trade it and move on. Pay attention to how many of these start popping up, because I believe that food security is going to be a big issue. It's going to be a contentious issue in the United States now that we have one of the largest crop producing states on fire. So keep an eye on for more of these types of companies. But as far as this one goes, let's take a look at the technicals here and see if we can find some levels for how we're going to trade this. At this point, it's just kind of moving along sideways with VWAP, trying to hold above it. If it does lose VWAP, I would expect that there may be some support around 245. And if we lose that, then it's going to be just under $2. So there's some downside targets. Now to the upside, we need to break this pre-market high of 339. But just the way that this has been trading in the pre-market, it seems like it's having a really tough time holding above that 330 area. The last two attempts to stay up there have not worked out. So could see a lot of selling pressure as we approach, as we get into the 330s, should this go higher.
Okay, really good stuff there. The levels that you hit were pretty spot on there. I'm definitely looking at 250. I know we kind of overshot that on the support here down towards 245, but I'm still looking at 250, which is right beneath the VWAP here. And then obviously looking at that same 339 pre-market high. If we're able to snap that, look out. Also, really good stuff here regarding kind of the theme. And maybe this is, we were just talking about what are the themes going to be for 2025. We want to look to kind of figure those out. So kudos to you for already kind of putting one foot forward here in front of the other. The next one on the list here is going to be HEES, and there's just no trade here. This is a buyout. That's what's going on here. This is, again, one of the reasons why I cover these. M&A is definitely something that we look for here in trading plans. Stacks up 106% here. H&E Equipment Services shares are trading higher after United Rentals announced it will acquire the company for $92 per share in cash. Stock's currently at about $91. The stock yesterday when it closed was $44. So what a premium there. If you were holding this, congrats. This is a pretty good morning. I don't really have anything else to go over here. Do you, 13, or should I just move on?
Let's just move on. There's nothing here.
Okay, good stuff there. Congrats if you held that. Next here is going to be ticker AIFF. This is Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience shares are trading higher after the company announced the advancement of research to assess a patient's brain age using its BNA technology platform. So volume here, really, really impressive. Stocks up. I was just going to say 100%, now about 95% here. There's some short interest here, but fairly negligible, not really big. 3.17 days to cover on this. The float right in that area that we want, 5.4 million shares in that float. This is, again, right in the range that we're looking for. What do you got on this one? You like this? AIFF?
I'm not sure how relevant the news is, and I'm not a neuroscientist, so I don't know.
I was gonna say I was hoping that you were gonna drop some neuroscience knowledge on us, but I'm not a neuroscientist either. So,
I mean, the last time I heard of determining brain age was when I played a game on the Nintendo DS. So I don't know how, and this is my ignorance here about neuroscience. I don't know how relevant this is to the neurology side of things. This might be a really good way for determining treatments, or how much a cognitive decline has happened with somebody. But I'm trying to understand how many applications is this gonna serve here, because it doesn't seem like this is incredible news. It seems like it's cool, but I don't know that this is world changing by any stretch of the imagination. And again, that's just because I don't know enough about this and neurology. So it does have 5.47 million shares in the float. It's still within that range that we'd like. It does need cash, so I would expect that at some point they're going to have to do some financing. But aside from that, we'll just see if there's any trades here. Looking at the technicals, we're holding above VWAP for the time being, but it's starting to look a little weak in the pre-market. And it has a bit of a hard time holding above 380. Last several attempts to hold above there has resulted in wicks. So until we start getting a close above 380, I think that we may experience some downside. This might be one to wait and see what happens closer to the open.
Yeah, and this is just kind of happenstance, but one of the things I had said at my opener here was, do you ever just start seeing chart patterns randomly in real life? Like I see them in cloud lines all of the time. I'll be honest, 13, it doesn't seem, whatever chart I put up, it seems that at some point I'm looking at a head and shoulders here. We're looking at a 1 minute for AIFF, and to me, this one looks pretty clear here. I don't know that this is actually going to turn into anything, but I feel like I've been seeing these more and more. So we'll see. We'll see if we end up getting to move back down here. I do think if this cracks VWAP, we're likely to come back in and test 3 in pretty short order. So we'll see if we get any of that type of movement here. Okay, next is going to be Staff. This is a stock that we've absolutely traded before on the show. I feel like we've seen this on the scanner a number of times in the past. Staff here getting some action again as we traded up in the after hours yesterday, and then a pop again here today in the pre-market. Pop took us above 450, although we've come back in. Staffing 360 Solutions, Atlantic International enter a merger agreement. Okay, so that's the news that we have here. And again, this came yesterday in the after hours here. So I'm actually not Atlantic International. I'm not familiar with this off the top of my head. I didn't do any digging on this, so I can't tell you what this actually means. Stocks obviously responding well to it. Pretty much no short interest, nothing really of note here. 1.4 million shares in the float. 13, do you have anything on this one, or is this just one of our relative volume traders that we see just kind of get involved again here today?
I hadn't noticed the news from yesterday because I was looking at today and I saw that there wasn't anything. So I just didn't, think to look back at yesterday because I thought that this was moving on something else. Remember how yesterday we were talking about how there's going to be some insurance companies that are probably going to need some staff for insurance claims adjustments.
For the fires. Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of where my mind went when I saw this moving today. It's like, well, maybe this has something to do with insurance companies needing some more staff to help with their claims and processing. So that was where my mind went. It's probably not correct, but that's just where it went. So this merger news I haven't looked into, so I don't know what the parameters are, or who's getting what. So aside from that, we did get a little bit of movement yesterday. I saw that the volume is a little bit different relative to how it normally trades. So we could be getting a little bit of an R-vol movement here as well. Normally this trades, between 50 and 100K shares a day. And yesterday we had over 2 million. So that also could be at play here too. But of course it's going to be the merger. 1.42 million shares in the float. Very easy to move around. Company still needs cash, even though I don't know what this merger is going to do for their cash position. They also did a 1-for-10 reverse split back in June that resulted in the current share structure they have now.
Okay, there you go. Really good stuff on Staff. Again, we've seen this trade before. I feel like we've traded this one before. Right here does look like it's doing its best to hang on to 350. I think a move back to the VWAP is probably likely. I think maybe it would try to get back up there. Will it actually reach the VWAP? And will it make it through the VWAP? Unsure. But the first trade that I'd be looking at for here out of Staff is if we can hold this area and maybe curl, maybe we can make a move back towards that VWAP. One of the things that I'm going to be trying to do here today is when I get gains in some of these stocks, I'm not going to be afraid to take them. Maybe if we feel like we caught a runner, I'll leave a trailer on to try and capture that. But for the most part, if I get the movement that I'm looking for, if I get gains in any of these stocks, I'm going to take it. And I'm not going to feel bad about that. Sorry, 13, get back.
No, so one of the things that I see when I look at the 5-minute chart here is that yes, we have come down off the initial highs from the pre-market, but we've found support in an area where there was a lot of consolidation yesterday in the after hours. So that may be a bit of a demand zone there. It's between it's about 310 to 330, 340, somewhere in there in that range. Seems to be a demand zone. So if we see the price come down there, that might be the spot where it reverses and tries to go back up towards the VWAP. So that'll be an area I'll be watching for.
Okay. Real good stuff. Gives you another possible support area there. Okay. Really good. OST is next on the list here. And this was running earlier. Boy, I don't know what's going on. I'm lagging a little bit here. OST saw that this was running on no news. At least that's what it was earlier. We did pop here in the pre-market above 4. This is interesting because this pop very, very similar to what we got intraday yesterday, which we just gave up in very, very short order. Let me check the news tab here and see if there was anything fresh. Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing new here in terms of news. So OST moving here on no news. Short interest, 5.6% of the float shorted here, 1.3 million shares in the float. No news here on OST. This could actually be relative volume, right? We had this pop yesterday, seemingly out of nowhere, having that again here today. What do you think on OST this morning, 13?
It looks like another China pump. This is a supplier of display modules and polarizers in China. We do have some more bills being issued tomorrow in order for the China to stabilize its currency and make it harder to short. So I think adding a little bit of liquidity might help some of these China names. But other than that, I think this is just trying to get trying to get attention on some of these China names. And if there's no news as to why this is moving, then I think that's just being pumped. The only other thing is that this may have had some news out of CES, being that it's in the electronic equipment space, but I don't know that for a fact. I don't think there's any news that's really driving this.
Okay. All right. OST. That's pretty much what we got. Not great here on OST, but actually
it could be.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I got no problem waiting this one out. Tell you what, here in the pre-market, looks like it's given a lot of this stuff back. Okay, next on the list here is actually going to be APLD, and this is one that we're definitely familiar with. We've talked about this one a lot. APLD here, they did, if I recall correctly, they have earnings after the close today. Now we're up here. Applied Digital agrees to build a partnership with McGuire McGuire, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry. Asset management for funding of up to $5 billion to drive HPC growth. So, okay, we get a nice little move here. It's moved off the $8 handle, went actually above $10.50. We've come back in. We're right around the VWAP here. And again, we have earnings tonight. So we'll see what's going on there. Now here on this one, 25+% of the float shorted, almost 3 days to cover. I do think we could have some squeeze action on this one here today. Now the float 191 million, so way thicker than some of these other ones that we trade here pretty regularly. But what do you think here? What do you think on APLD? We've actually had, this one has moved around quite a bit on our show. I feel like a lot of the traders in here have actually traded this name with pretty good success too. What do you think here on APLD?
Well, I think that the short interest is going to come into play here today. The float is what concerns me, because when you have 191 million share float, that large number can weigh on the price action. So hopefully we'll get some good price action out of the short squeeze. Should we get that? The big move might not even come today. It might be tomorrow after the earnings have already happened and we have the morning trading. So this could be a mover tomorrow as well. As for today, though, if we do get enough attention on it and it starts to squeeze here, let's see if it can break the pre-market high of 1083. There's a bit of a trend that it's put in since making that high in the pre-market. We tried to take it out, couldn't get any higher than 1054. So now we have a trend line we can draw from, and it's trying to get back over VWAP right now. So this might start trading up in towards that trend line in the pre-market, and I'd be looking for a breakout of that trend to take us higher. How high? I'm not sure yet. Let's see what I can find here from some of these charts. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot I can draw on here. Maybe we see 1125 if we break that pre-market high. So that'll be the earliest indication of an upside target that I have.
Okay. Good stuff there. APLD. Crow here saying already adding on dips in the pre-market. I'm looking at where this is at right now. I got this, 8 cents under the VWAP. I actually have this right at the VWAP in the prop account. So this thing looks like this is ready to kind of go here. Or try and break that VWAP. We'll see if it goes. And if we do, as you were mentioning, that pre-market high up there is going to be one of the next levels. We'll see if we get that. Volume looks pretty good here on APLD. Earnings tonight. Lions giving its blessing here. This is good to own, according to him. So I think we should get some trades here on APLD. This did kind of come off of a recent support level. And one of the things that we're kind of looking at is going to be this trend. Would love to see if this trend falls. So, okay, good stuff there on APLD. Yeah, get in there.
I'd like to, own this at some point, but not while it's got this much debt and that little revenue. I mean, it's got to be profitable for me to want to own this long term. But that debt, that's the only concerning thing here. I mean, you can look on their balance sheet. They have 171 million due over the next 12 months. So that's and they only have revenue of the last revenue print was 60 million a quarter. Granted, it's growing and they seem to be on a path to profitability, but I'd like to see them start putting in a net positive first before I own this long term. That's just me though.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. Just kind of looking around here. Were there any other movers that you had on your list? I think we exhausted. I know Cooler's on here. ADD was moving earlier on. No news. There are a couple more we can check in here. We can just kind of go at them.
Yeah, VRME and Kit, some ones we've been trading lately. Those are still on the move.
VRME, this definitely seems like a relative volume play. What say you, 13? I mean, we've had multiple days of increased volume in this.
Well, this is just momentum. I don't even think it's relative volume at this point. This thing is just on a hot streak until we start seeing some topping out. That's probably going to continue. I don't even know what the whole catalyst for these moves were. I completely forgot at this point.
Verify Me. Shares are trading higher if the company announced it entered into a warrant inducement transaction for 4.7 million in proceeds. So I know you're talking about the initial move there. This is the fresh news that we got here today.
So it's just keeping it going.
It's just keeping that news flow going. Looking back here, didn't really see it. I think
that's a good point by Jay Rice. Bonds aren't buying the PPI number. CPI more important. So I think, and I agree with that. What he's saying is there should be more attention focused on the CPI number. That's going to be where the bond market will tell you more about what they think when that print happens.
Well, this is exactly why we were saying the big thing for today is, does this hold? So far here, SPY coming back in off that initial move here. And we have talked about that. We've mentioned this a lot about the CPI being a more important number than the PPI here. So I'm still in the same camp. Do we hold here today? That to me is really going to tell the story.
We will find out.
We will find out. Okay, were there any other movers that you wanted to go through? I know you mentioned Kit briefly.
Yeah, that was I was seeing some movement this morning. We can look at Cooler as well. That had a nice sell-off because it was part of the space theme. I still consider it to be. They also, wow, that's a really nice bottoming candle there too. I mean, if you look at a daily chart, you can see that we had a really nice millionaire hammer at the bottom of this sell-off. That's a good reversal candle. So let's see if this has some follow through here. We need to see this get back above $3. There seems to be it was a previous resistance area. It was also support on the initial way down earlier this month. And then after a bounce at that level, it crashed through it. So I want to see $3 get recaptured here. Maybe we get that after tomorrow because we have that SpaceX Flight 7 launch. After the market closes. It'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, good stuff here. And Cooler, that was a nice little bounce above that $2 level. I know we traded beneath it, recaptured it, and we're moving higher here. See if we get that here on Cooler. Okay, any other movers here from the list that you want to go over? Anything else that you want to even talk? We got plenty of time. We got like over 15 minutes. We might be doing ticker time for a while here.
No, but Ryan, why don't you tell us how we got these movers?
Using Benzinga Pro. What do you mean?
Well, yeah. How do we find these?
I have long said that the best gap tool that I'm aware of is the movers tool here in Benzinga Pro, mostly because of how easy it is to use. You can very quickly kind of filter out what meets your criteria and what doesn't. And because we're a news service at heart, you can start with stocks that are moving and kind of back your way into why they're moving. This is what we try to do here as a group every single day. Find the stocks that are moving, see if there's any type of technical levels that you can discern from there, and then figure out why and come up with a trading plan. The more information you have, the better your plan should be. This is also one of the themes that we practice here in the show, which is why I'm encouraging that folks share information as frequently as possible.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much for that. I'm glad that we could, tell people about this and see if they can, want to take a stab at it and maybe try it out for themselves. We got to mention here ICU 85 FIO. This was moving yesterday. This is actually the trading vehicle I used yesterday. That was a pretty good move, but it's not looking too good today. After it had what it was like at some point it was like almost 400% mover, right? This thing was approaching $10.
Yeah. I mean, this thing was an absolute monster yesterday. Here, I actually can get you the peak to trough here real quick. Yeah, it looks like total peak to trough here 496% or thereabouts.
And the news today is that they did an offering, 3.19 million. I'm pretty sure.
Is anyone surprised at that?
Gosh, it's like we almost said.
Didn't we even? I'm pretty sure that we said yesterday for this specific name when we were breaking down the financials. By the way, just to kind of tie this back to one of your questions, another reason why we use this, because it's not just news that you can get, but it's all of this information that you can very easily figure out. Yeah, we did talk about this stock needing to figure out something that it's going to do with its cash position here. Yes, we're not surprised to see an offering.
So if that rebounds, I'll be a little more confident in trading that, not have to worry if I'm going to get an offering that's going to rug pull me. So that's a good piece of news. We'll wait for that to come back in. Maybe it'll provide some more trading opportunities. Got to mention here back to Applied Digital, asking if it's
this
time.
might be one of our better plays here today, honestly.
It very well could be. We'll just have to wait and see what it does at the open. I think after we get that initial, the first minute or two out of the way, it'll give us some better idea of where it's headed. Also seeing here, what should we be thinking about? Should we be thinking about China stocks when the DXY down? China will start the money printers. Should we be looking to build front running positions, BABA, et cetera? I think if I'm gonna do the play China the upside, I'd probably do the ETF. That's worked the best for me without needing to worry about the individual companies. If you want to do an individual company, look for the ones that have been hammered the most. I think maybe Pinduoduo might be a good idea for a short-term trade, but I don't know when the timing is going to be great because it still has a lot of headwinds coming up. With Trump coming into office and the threat of tariffs. We're seeing actually some a lot of more supply chains move out of China and into other surrounding countries like Vietnam and Singapore. So I don't know about the timing. I have some concerns, but I think that you're right that there could be some opportunity here for a short-term China bounce, but I just don't know exactly when that could be. It might be this month, just don't know when.
Okay. Jay here saying yin, which is that levered bull ETF, YINN, given a green day yesterday, first one in a while. See if we get some follow through on that. Producer here mentioning CTM for you penny players here, getting a piece of news. Castellum shares are trading higher after the company announced it secured a $3.2 million contract to enhance cyber supply chain risk management for naval aircraft systems. So you're getting a nice PR here, $3.2 million contract. This stock up 36% here on the back of that news. Just a quick look around the horn. There is some short interest in there, but not really a ton. Float about 37 million. Penny stock. I will probably pass on this one. But that piece of news here breaking in the pre-market, ticker CTM.
And they filed for a mixed securities shelf offering. So I don't think that's closed either. They also did another offering back in December. This company just needs Just need money. I think I'd be careful with this. Be careful with this.
Okay.
I don't. The contract news, that's great, but just seeing how much they need to raise capital, I'd be a little concerned with them throwing out an offering if it goes high enough, or trying to execute that offering. Anyway,
Looks like
I'd be careful.
Looks like this traded up to 105 and backed off that spot. We'll see if this can hold above $1 here. Ticker CTM. Ticker CTM. Okay. What else do you folks want to take a look at? Got about 10 minutes left here. RCAT. Danny wants to take a look at RCAT. I know that's been a big one that our group has traded here. Some of these high-flying themes that we've seen, like AI, quantum, and drones, really pulling back here. RCAT pretty much doing the same thing. RCAT holding here. It really struggled with 10 yesterday. Up 5% here in the pre-market. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of a regression back to the mean here. Honestly, though, this thing really does need to break above 10 and hold for this to really start to move back to the upside, I feel like. Do you have anything here on RCAT for Danny?
Oh, let's see. What's...
I just read the rest of Danny's handle here, and it made me laugh.
I think that $10 has been a pretty clear level, both to the as resistance and support. We had a breakout in November, followed by a breakdown. It was resistance again in December, broke out of there, support on Friday, and now resistance today. So it seems to me if we cannot get back over $10, I think we head towards the 50-day SMA.
Okay.
That would be my thought. I think
that 50, but just for reference there, that 50-day SMA at 830.
Yeah, so I think that with RCAT, we would need to see it go beyond and close above $10. I'd be concerned about a rejection at 10. We'll see. If it gets to 10, then it's got to show us that it can get beyond 11 in that 20-day SMA. But that might not happen today. I think that'll happen later on in the week if it continues to the upside.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Jay Rice reminding us TTM was 280 a few days ago. We did just show you the daily chart here. Huge pullback. They're trying to bounce it here. We'll see. Say again?
Yeah, that was from the offerings.
Offering, right.
Yeah, this got hammered on those multiple offering headlines. Yeah.
Okay, what other stocks do you folks want to take a look at? How did DJT do here today? I know that was actually a fairly decent trade yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't quite get to 45, but
Yep,
it was pretty close.
43 and change. It looks like we've backed off some of that here today. Volume was really impressive yesterday, though.
Yeah, they buyers stepped in and propped it up because I was watching this for a good portion of the day, and I was thinking that it was about to roll over when it was making that second peak, and it just kept going. I was kind of surprised as to how much strength it had. So I think that maybe it does come in a little bit today, but you have that trend line that you just pointed out there. I think we're certainly headed up to that, maybe even on our way to breaking it. Now, here's the thing. What do we think is going to happen on Tuesday next week? Because we are closed on Monday, and Monday is when he is inaugurated. So do we see selling on Friday, or do we see selling on Tuesday? Or do you think it rallies?
My gut tells me 13 that we would see a sell the news event. Which means for trading action, I could see this being hot on Friday and then selling off on Tuesday post the event. I could see it. I'm just guessing, but I could see that.
It certainly looks like it's these memes. Well, I mean, DJT, it's a meme stock right now, but if it might change during his presidency. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always going to kind of be a meme stock. I don't think the fundamentals are why people are buying DJT. So we'll see. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to play this stock for the inauguration. I don't feel like I have an edge there. I almost feel like that's kind of a gamble. But if you forced me to make a call on it, I would say sell the news.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think we're going to see a sell off after he's inaugurated. And if we're wrong about that, then we can start looking at levels because if this rallies after he's inaugurated, I mean, there's no telling where this could go. Maybe we could just draw on the previous all-time highs that it was making when this first came out, and that would be a good start. But man, if this thing starts rallying after he's inaugurated, I don't know where it could end up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Real quick here, question from Hernandez. Hey guys, quick question from a newbie here. I'm trading with a pretty small account, and I see you guys share 6 to 10 stocks to watch each day. I usually just go with the cheapest one. My question here is, what kind of order types do you guys use? How do you figure out what to set your entry price based on the price? Thanks in advance for any tips. Okay. First of all, welcome. I will say one of the things that we're doing on a regular basis here is day trading. And if you have a small account, I would almost say that avoiding day trading is probably going to be one of the best things that you can do. I know that seems counterintuitive. Everyone that gets into stocks wants to be able to buy and sell and scalp and do all of that. I get it. But I still think that's pretty hard. So as far as just going for the cheapest stock, I understand you probably feel like you can get more for it since the account is small. I would say instead of focusing on that, focus on a setup that you see repeating. So if we talk about, let's say, a stock with high short interest here, what does that stock tend to do over 2 to 3 days? Don't necessarily worry about, hey, what's going to happen right out of the open for the first several hours of the market, especially if you're not above the 25K day trading threshold. So I would say try, and then answering your other question here, as far as an entry point, a lot of that has to do with the levels that we discussed. This is one of the reasons why when I ask 13, what are you seeing here? What kind of levels do you see here? This is why he gives so many different numbers, right? Because we want to be able to figure out, is this a buy spot? If this comes back in and holds this price, generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, we're trying to buy on support, sell on resistance.
Yeah, James just actually hit the nail on the head. Instead of looking for the cheapest one, maybe you could still look for the cheapest one, but look for the one with the best volume. That's why we're looking at these 6 that we have here, or we're looking at all the ones that have volume. And some of them are cheap, some of them are not, but they are all moving, and that's what we want. We want these things to move.
Volume, by the way, helps tell the story. It helps not only are we getting into the right stock here because it's going to be liquid enough for us to trade, but volume will also tell, are we going on a run here or is this thing going to roll over? Volume to me sure tells the story about how that stock's going to trade, which is why the scan that I have built here that I use is centered around volume and how that volume, applies to its average. Hernandez, let me know if those are if that is helpful at all. Jonathan here suggesting paper trade. I would completely second that. I think one of the big things, if you're going to be active, you want to be able to find something that you can repeat over and over again, because this notion of finding the one big trade that's going to take you to the next level, I think that's a fool's game. Sure, some people get it. Some people get lucky and end up getting that, but I don't think that that's necessarily sustainable.
We just don't want to provide any false hope here. We want to give it to you the real deal. Getting a question here, Ryan in 13. Can you give us Tesla level one more time, please?
Sure.
Well, for me, we're pretty much at it. There's a fib level here that it's trading up to. It's about 415. We have the 20-day SMA right above it at 424. That has been a pretty strong resistance area. Just for the past few times, it's tried to recapture it. You can see that we lost it back on December 30th. The very next day, we tried to recapture it. Could not do that. It went lower and on the rebound and back up to it. It could not recapture it again. That was January 6th, and then we went lower again. So now here we are, a third time. The concerning thing is that if this attempt does not manage to break through the 20-day SMA, we could have a short-term triple top and on this rebound, and that could send this lower beneath the 50-day SMA. I know it sounds weird to call it a triple top being down here, but being that it has come off of a lower move and tried to recapture a particular level, in this case it looks like 425 was that level. It has not been able to get back above it. So that 20-day SMA, 425 level, that seems to be the big area that the price needs to get over for continued upside. Otherwise, that's where we could see the price get rejected.
I would say that's pretty spot on there. That 391 level to the downside, that would also be a support level. I don't know that we'll get there, though. Good stuff there. Let me know if that's what you needed there. Jay Harris. And we're just under 2 minutes till we open here. Let me flip over to my main workspace and see what's going on.
I saw Cyril
Another penny stock. I just got a couple of penny stocks here on the scanner. Nothing notable. Terra Wolf, that's Wolf with a U, trading up but on small volume.
Yeah, I saw that Cyril was mentioning Caterpillar, CAT. That this
CAT.
one, yeah, CAT. This one's going to be part of the cleanup and rebuilding process out in California once the fires actually get put out. There's going to be a lot of themes to play with once this is all over, and it's going to be lots of rebuilding, lots of infrastructure. There's going to be it sucks to have to have these things come out of such a tragedy, but there will be money going places, and that's where we need to be. All right, so here we are. 10 seconds to go.
I was just voting in the poll. I want to encourage you folks to vote in the poll there. Some pretty interesting results. I can't wait to share those.
AIFF has been rallying into the open. We are open now. This could drop.
Okay, 450 might be a spot there for AIFF.
APLD, this one trying to get above its VWAP out of the open here. Let's wait and see what this one does. Let's see, others that we were trading, NMHI. This one looks like it's trying to push up. 290 has a big wall. It's trying to get through it. It is right now. This looks a little weird here. I have a whole bunch of sell orders beneath where the current price is, and I don't know why they're not filling. There we go. Now they're filling. Maybe it's just a delay on my broker. So NMHI moving up. Sorry.
It's okay. Real quick here. Epic Escapes TV. Hi, guys. I joined the live stream a couple of times now, and what I found is that your calls seem too fast for me. What would you say is the best way to prepare and make the best of the sessions? Okay. So first of all, one thing to keep in mind here is that we are constantly trying to comment on everything that's going on. So I would not try and listen or follow every call. One of the things that you'll notice that we break down here in the mornings, we look for themes or we look for stocks that we have an edge on. I would advise everybody do the same thing. That is to say, if you're a technology nut, maybe start with the technology stocks and see if those make better targets for you to trade, and then focus on those and not all of the other stuff going on. You don't have to do everything, at least not right from the start, right? Focus on the things that are important to you and the things that work for you. Get in there, 13.
AIFF ripping now. Looks like Jay Walker already making some money off of that. Yeah, I was going to make a little point about the you don't have to trade any of these that we talk about. These are just what's moving the most. Some people just they'll pick Tesla and just make that their only trading vehicle, and they're successful with that. So find out what you're comfortable with trading with and stick with that, because if you're comfortable trading something and you know how it works and you know how it trades, you have a lot less of a chance to lose on those trades than you normally would trading something you're not familiar with.
You should trade it better if you do that. And then the other thing, again, based on what we're trying to do here is, look, we have to come up with content every day. No matter what the market's doing, there needs to be content here. And so we're always analyzing what the market is giving to you. As far as trading, you don't need to do everything, right? Focus on that pocket that you think you can exploit.
Looks like we're getting some more upside in NMHI, trying to go higher. AIFF pulled after 569. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say anything. Do you that NM or that NMHI? That doesn't feel buyable just yet. That move up now. APLD here. This looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
This one looking pretty good as that moves back above the VWAP there, APLD. By the way, now that we're discussing possible trades here, I don't think, unless I hook like a massive winner on this, I would not be holding any APLD trade into the earnings tonight. I'd be looking to get out of that prior to the close, no matter what happens. Hustle and Bustle saying my best run last year was trading Burke B overnight. So one of my best runs last year was trading Palo Alto, Pan W. And again, that was actually over several nights. The day trade was not the best. The day trade is just we're given some piece of information or something's happening in the market every day, and we're trying to make sense of that and capture it. The bigger, the better trades are the ones that we have had planned for a long time. No question.
Yeah, NMHI, this looks like it really wants to try and get over 220, because if it does, it's probably going to trade a lot better, maybe even break the pre-market high of 339. We're right there too, so let's see what happens. Oh, here we go. Starting to move. 339 is what we're looking for.
My internet. Actually, I don't think it. Did I have I been breaking up here at all? Either my picture or my audio?
Not that
Okay,
I've
so
heard.
maybe it's not my internet. Maybe I'm having a broker issue. It looks like my entire broker was lagged there.
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna trade until I know that everything is okay here. Real quick look across the market here. Green arrows across the board. S&P futures up by just about 0.5%. Dow futures up 0.4%. NASDAQ up almost 0.6%. Breadth is green across the board. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, and the New York Stock Exchange all positive breadth.
Looks like 584 in the SPY is a pretty important level at this stage for the ETF. In the after hours, we got up to just beneath 584. Actually, maybe I've hit it directly. And that was support ever since getting above it in the morning here. Once we dropped down to that 582.30 and recaptured it on the PPI print, so did we recapture 584, and then we started trailing down to that again. 584 is going to be a big level to close above if we're going to continue with the upside on the SPY. That's just what it looks like at this stage. So keep an eye out for 584 price action.
Meta lost 600 right out of the open, trying to grab it here again. Fairchild here saying, we are all just madly running after freight trains, trying to catch what falls off. So if that's the case, then definitely want to make an effort here, or a theme here, if you will, for 2025 to make it less like that. I don't want anything described as madly running or chasing. I think when you apply that to trading, that is where you can really kind of set yourself up for disaster. So maybe my focus here will try and be as tactical as possible. And we'll see if that kind of goes forward here for the group, if that's helpful for the group. Amanda, good morning. It's good to see you. I did try my hand at a couple of Costco haikus. So let me know if you're ready for that. It might be a little too early in the morning for that, but you let me know if and when you're ready for that.
I don't know if the world is ready for that.
Yeah, look, like I said, I don't either. I'm fair warning on that.
Looks like AIFF is getting ready to go higher. It's still getting great support from VWAP. So if this continues to push up here, we're looking for a break over 569. Let's see.
Watch this 550. Here. There's some size right through it. God, as soon as it tapped it, it took it all and went right through it to the highs there.
And the price action is just wild ever since then. And
or Alpha, great job selling into that pop there too. Now we're getting a pullback here on that.
Got as high as got as high as 580 on that. Well, that'll just be quick, but at the same time, if you getting into an order, try doing orders if you know where you want to exit. Try having like an order cancels order or a bracket order to where it when you place the order, it also places your stop and your sell orders as well.
Yeah, one thing about those bracket orders, we talk a little bit about paper trading on this show in terms of practicing. That is where paper trading really shines, if you ask me. Just the execution, how to actually set these orders, knowing what you're looking at in your broker. The last thing you want to be doing is scrambling when you're trying to place a real trade there. So get that ready. Yeah,
and NMHI is trying to go for that 320 number, trying to get back above that again. It just popped and now it's kind of going back and forth.
Which ticker?
NMHI.
NMHI, gotcha.
Just kind of
poetry slam. Oh man,
poetry.
Amanda's hilarious. I mean, I was asking about those. She said a happy hour exclusive. Call it a Ryan poetry slam. I mean, I cringe just thinking about that, honestly. But it's hilarious. I mean, that's absolutely hilarious.
Webcoin AIFF. I think my brain is getting younger. Imagine that. You trade it and it gets younger. I love it. All right. So is NMHI going to do the thing here? It looks like it's trying to, but it seems like the seller keeps stepping in at about 325 and pushing the price back down under 320. See how long that lasts. It looks like it really does want to take out that 339 though.
APLD straight up rejected at the VWAP. That's going to need to get back up there. And the NMHI you're still looking at?
Mm-hmm. Just waiting to see if it, because it's got some pretty good volume for the moment. Hopefully we don't lose it, but it really does look like it's trying to take out 339. But the sellers keep stepping in at about 320 to 325 and push it back down. GFAI correction.
See if that 330 spot falls.
Yeah.
13, I'm going to step away for 1 sec here. BRB.
Sounds good. Looks like cooler, still a little bit lower out of the open here after having a nice run up into the open. Just beneath my VWAP anyway, looking like it's going to curl over here in a little bit. Still like this company, but has gone on a pretty good run, so not really sure if it's found a bottom quite yet. And let's see, is NMHI going to do the thing now? Nope, there was that seller that stepped in at 325 again, knocked it right back down to 320. Now, if it continues to do that, this is going to lose VWAP, and it could go lower. So one of these things is going to fall. Either going to be that seller that keeps stepping in or the VWAP. NMHI, basically rich hippies and actors using products for survival, agriculture, and building in California. Not necessarily, no, because there's going to be, I believe there's going to be a big global food security issue, and it's takes a lot of land and water to do farming the traditional way we've been doing it, and some of these indoor farming companies have figured out a way to use water more reasonably to get mass crop production. And it's not like these are going to be crops where that grow on trees. These are going to be like shallow root crops. Here we go with NMHI trying to get back above there. We might get this going here. But I don't know that
seems to be the spot.
It really is. 325 seems to have the seller is where the seller seems to step in and keep pushing it back down. But got to think at some point that they're going to lose that. Anyway, to wrap up with the indoor farming thing, I think this is going to end up being the future of how crops are produced in the United States and possibly the world. Here we go with the NMHI.
Stopping here right at 338. Did take a bunch of those different size orders there. Stopped at 340 here. A little bit more size on that.
There's another one that Carmen mentioned, EDBL. And here we go with NMHI. This is what we wanted to see.
There we go. Really good call there on that 330 break too.
Now let's see. We've broken that. What happens next? Does it come back in? Does it go higher? If it goes higher, where does it go? Let's find out. I don't think it's going to the 80s. Maybe $4 is potentially the next. I would think $4 would be the most reasonable target. That's where we have the 15-week EMA. So $4 looks like a next potential target, and it's a good psych level too.
A lot of stuff popping here. Market's still up near those pre-market highs, 585. I think that was one of the levels that you discussed earlier. Looks like we're trying to move through that here.
Yeah, recaptured 584, moving its way up to 585. That previous all-time high, 585.27. That's a potential resistance area. Let's see, staff heading lower. This is actually losing the demand zone from earlier, so this is looking pretty weak. If it cannot recapture 310, this may be done for now and might not come back until sometime around 260.
That lost that entire demand zone pretty quick there.
So maybe maybe they we don't need more folks out in California for insurance. Maybe AI will take care of it. Like I think somebody had mentioned in the chat, like I had mentioned yesterday in happy hour. What do we need all these new hires for? AI will solve it, won't they? APLD, this one right on at 65 EMA for the third time today. If it cannot hold here, this goes lower to probably 850. If it turns around, then we'd want to see a recapture of VWAP.
This has been pretty disappointing performance from the open on APLD.
Hello, Christopher Anthony Forsman.
Doing his best Jim Nance impression, as always. Good morning, Chris. Great to see you. Rigetti here. We are having that snapback. Real shout out to Derrick, excuse me. Said that the quantum short, one of the best trades of his career, and then flipped long here, getting a nice push here on RGTI. Is this the same with some of the other quantum names? QBTS. Yep. QUBT. Yep. All of those the same. This is actually pulling a little bit here too.
What's interesting about these is that they all are interacting with their 50-day SMA in some capacity. Rigetti, this one actually recaptured it and is trying to push higher. The other one you mentioned, D-Wave, that one went beneath it and is trying to recapture the 50-day SMA now. Already rejected, but that's what it needs to do if it's going to go back up. And then what was the other one you said? Is it QUBT?
QUBT, QBTS, IONQ. Those are the ones that I looked at. I guess QMCO is another one on that list, but I didn't mention that one.
Yeah, all are dealing. You just look at every single one of these. If you have your 50-day SMA on, you can all see how they're interacting with it. This, I think right now the Rigetti looks like it's the strongest one, and Ionic looks like it's the weakest.
I must be having internet issues here because everything is slow. Everything is slow, including like another computer. Must be dealing with some internet issues on my end. Sorry about that.
No worries. No trading for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, not the day trades anyway. We'll see.
NMHI pushing back up here
yet.
And it's trying to get to 367, which was the intraday high we put in about 5 minutes ago. Looking around here, looks like staff trying to stop the selling. Let's see if it can recapture some of those levels. AIFF, after a nice pop to 580, has done nothing but come back in. If it continues to lose some of these levels here, I think it might find better support around 380. So we'll see if that's what happens. And MHI just waiting for that move.
You get Sully saying you're lagging. Yorkie is saying it also feels like there's a 30-second delay to the stream.
That might, I don't hear any lag from you, so maybe it's the stream itself that's having an issue.
I would ask the producer to kind of look into that in the back for me. Let's see if we've got anything on that.
We are sorry about any delays here, folks. We'll try and get you back so we're have a more reasonable delay.
I can't control that. I can't control that delay. So I'd ask producer, let me know if you can figure anything out. By the way, the poll results that we talked about earlier. Oh, sorry about that. Let me mute that screen. Do you think Meta should replace 72 billion in cash with Bitcoin to combat inflation? Right. So that was the poll question earlier. Results here, no. 37% said no. 31% said they're not sure. And 31% said yes. So that is a pretty even distribution, if you ask me. No leading the way by about 6% there.
Speaking of leading the way, NMHI, the only one of those movers list that's really having making new highs right now. AIFF went lower, trying to rebound. Staff trying to rebound as well. That went lower. OST trying to do something besides go sideways. APLD headed lower. Looking like NMHI is the winner so far today. Now it putting in a high of 380.
Okay, Tim, you're gonna help me with the delay here. I will timestamp it for you. Let me actually get my clock here. You can help me with that. Windows 11. Why do you do stuff so different?
Because they put 11 on the box.
I mean, like what happened to the seconds? Like Windows 10 had seconds all the time, and now I don't have seconds anywhere on my computer. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do 8:49. I'm gonna call it out when it's 9:49. Excuse me, Tim.
Hey, we got
Hang on, 13. Hang on, 13. 9:49 right now. You let me know what that delay is. Sorry, get in there, man.
It looks like my cousin's trying to take attention away from the market. XXII is now up 30% and is halted to the upside. Looks like they are more than ready for any new regulations for their nicotine content policy from the FDA. Yeah. This seems like this is the same news from yesterday, and it's just running on it again because the Washington Post featured a story on it. So my cousin's gobbling up the attention again. All right, AIFF look like that's trying to turn around. Let's see if we can recapture VWAP, which I currently have at 511. Staff trying to do the same thing, although it has a lot of levels and EMAs to get through. It's also trying to chew its way back through the demand zone, which is now a supply zone. APLD also trying to reverse. So let's just give it a little bit, see what happens here with some of these. Maybe we get some better price action here in about 5 minutes or so. I mean, NMHI, this looks like it's ready to go beyond 380. Big wall there, though, so it'd have to have a good amount of volume to take that out.
This NMHI, I would say that if this volume compresses here, we might have the high put in at least temporarily.
So we got 10 seconds, 12 seconds. Buzz is getting almost 30.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, there's way too much variance here to take away from that little test.
I've seen a lot more 10 seconds than anything else, though.
Yeah, me too. And that seems normal to me. I don't know, guys. I don't know that there's anything that we can do to adjust that. And
we'll point the fingers at ourselves first. And if we can't figure out what's going on, then we have to point it at Google.
AIFF looks like this did try to bounce at the VWAP, didn't quite get all the way back in there. CTM, we talked about this one earlier, reflirting with the dollar to the upside. We'll see if that's got the strength to get above.
Looks like AIFF trying to get back to VWAP. I have that at 509. See if we can even get back up to 5.
SNGX, this really disappointing here. This actually went red. This had news this morning, actually an exclusive, I believe, that we did here. Market not rewarding this news here. Sologenics tells Benzinga patients have responded positively to the high-bright therapy. Over 70%, 5 of the 6 subjects who have completed the 18-week therapy, achieving a treatment success. So pretty good numbers there. It's supported by the $2.6 million FDA Orphan Products Development Grant. Stock going down by 6% here. Market not rewarding that data.
So here we are, AIFF, knocking on the door of 5. It went up to 499, so almost there to the VWAP. Sellers did step in a little bit here, but not sure if we'll get a VWAP recapture of this or not. It looks like it could, so keeping an eye on it.
Oh my God, Portillo's is on the relative volume scanner, the upside.
What?
I can't believe it. Like I'm wondering now, you guys are talking about things are lagging here and things. I'm wondering if I'm in the twilight zone because this stock has been absolute garbage for years and it hurts my soul because Portillo's is a Chicago institution. But this is the first time I've seen this on the relative volume scanner. This thing going vertical here, up 13% on Portillo's.
Palantir is also rebounding. Let's see what that looks like. I guess the PPI made people think, oh, well, maybe we're going to get, we're not going to have rate raises or a rate pause for too long if PPI is showing inflation's coming down. It's like,
Yeah, but but we already talked about the CPI number is the one that people care about. So
Right.
we're not going to know on that till tomorrow anyway. By the way, look at the SPY here. We've almost deleted the entire pop that we had off that PPI print. So far, does not look like we want to hold this.
Yeah, and Redbook came in a little lighter than last time, so that might be weighing on it a little bit. But I think yes, you're right. The PPI that was a great for a pre-market move, but the CPI is what we're all waiting for, and the PCE is what the Fed's waiting for. So here we go on our way down to test that 582.30. You know the level, you know it well. Palantir also coming in as well. That might end up testing at 65 EMA, which I have at 66.55. My cousin's open and ripping higher. 875 is the high it put in. This thing has got a bit of a dangerous spread, seeing anywhere between 10 and 25 cents. Be careful. You say
Palantir still holding plus 3%.
Yep. Put a shoe roast in the oven. So good I'd eat that off a shoe. Well, all right. Let me know how that tastes.
Someone here, yeah, I forgot. Good question here. Hustle and Bustle said, who started the day with short? I can't remember who that was. It was a name that I didn't recognize. I called it as soon as I saw it. We are down from that pop. That was so far, that was a good call.
Let me see here. Thought I just, hold on a second. What is this level that we bounced off of here? Okay, so SPY price went down to 582.36, 6 cents within 6 cents of that 582.30 level, and started to reverse. Let's see if it can get some follow through. If not, I think we're losing that level. We're testing, and then if we do, we'll be testing the previous all-time high, 580 and 33 cents. Looks like my cousin got a little too crazy, went to 934, and now it's halted at the downside. Thing is whipping around like crazy. It's got a very, very low float. That's why it's been doing these halts. My broker, I have it at 264,000 shares. We have it here in Pro. 553,000 shares. Either way, it's well under 1 million, and this thing is going to move like crazy.
NMHI might be curling here. I'd watch that 350 spot again here on NMHI.
Yep.
They actually just dropped the offer that they had there at 350 to 349 and it immediately got taken. Watch this here. I think that this might make a move back towards the highs. Looking at the ladder here, I do see some size there at 360, but that can get removed pretty quickly if this continues to trade up here. Watch NMHI here. We might get a bounce.
Yeah, a little bit more volume expansion. We're taking out that 360 and these other levels as well.
What's the next level you have past 360, 13?
Oh, I'd need to see it take out the intraday high of 380.
380. Okay. That's okay.
Looks like we're getting a rebound with Palantir. It is beneath VWAP, so we do need to see that recapture it. Staff kind of sideways now. I'm not sure we are getting a recovery quite yet. AIFF indicating it doesn't want to go any lower, but the market might have other plans.
360 up now or at least trying. They actually brought in another offer there. NMHI. There's a battle going on. This is definitely trying to push higher here.
Yep.
Watch that 360. I'd trim above that 360 level if it pops it. Maybe it does go to 380 like you were saying there, 13, but just I'd be trimming and booking at that point.
Who said XXII was 12 yesterday?
What?
Who said that was 12? I mean, it did go to 12, but I think he's making a joke.
Yeah, I don't follow.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, it did pop to 12 then. It went a little bit higher than it went to like 1249, 1250. and then it reversed and didn't see it since then.
NMHI pulled beneath that 350 level and recaptured. This thing's volatile here.
Oh yeah, it is. Tech still getting sold.
See if I can get this stream playing here, man. Something's going on.
Cooler trying to. Well, Anthony, I appreciate that, but sometimes I say some awful things. You don't want my voice in your head. Yeah, it's actually 22. XXII is 22.
Details, 13 details. Okay, NMHI pulled back beneath that 350. I'm still going to kind of watch that. Am I missing like a great setup here? Does anyone have a great setup that I'm just not seeing at all?
If there is, it hasn't made the move yet.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not crazy. Okay, thanks. You could have just said, no, Ryan, you're not crazy. That would have helped too, 13. I just don't see any setups here at all. Maybe ADD as this comes back towards the VWAP. I don't know. I'm going to have to start looking at some of the bigger stocks here. I don't see a lot with these little movers. And actually, the market kind of puking now, so it looks like it's given that up.
It just might be the market breadth that's just hammering everything right now.
We'll see now. This is interesting because the market breadth. I've got this at green. So in the SPY, I've got 2.66 to 1 in the green direction. Dow, I've got 4.82 to 1. Q's 2.67 to 1, Russell 1.49 to 1, and the Nice 2.34 to 1. So I have a positive breadth across the board, but just not seeing any indexes here. What's Nvidia doing? By the way, here's your Tesla chart. This pulled completely off that opening move that it had. Here's Nvidia. This has gone red now. Oh, no, it's holding on to green barely. Sorry.
Oh, so Tesla ended up doing the test of the 20-day SMA and got rejected. Cool. If you look at a daily.
Oh, I don't. Shoot. Sorry, I'm.
Yeah. While you're doing that, just taking a look here, seeing if NMHI is going to do anything. It's actually trying to hold above VWAP at the moment. I think. I'm not sure about that one. I think some of these other ones that have been trying to find a bottom and are trying to turn around might be better plays. Things that I would watch for, like AIFF, that one looks like it's trying to turn around. Same with Staff. Just need to see more volume in these. OST, that's right at its VWAP too. Some of these other ones, though, not looking too great.
Voodoo saying a lot of pop and drops with some of the bigger names too. Indeed, Netflix here, that actually went red. Apple's trying to hold on to green. Costco is red.
Is it really good? Let's see. Where is
it? Not red enough. Not red enough for what you're thinking, though.
Oh yeah, that's not the red I need. But this does look like it's going to be going lower. I think this eventually will lose 900, and I don't want to. I hate using the word hope, but I hope we see some more downside because I would be a buyer much lower into the 800s. All right.
Eli Lilly, really tough candle here, minus almost 8%. Eli Lilly shares trading lower after the company issued fiscal year 24 revenue guidance below the previous estimates. Nasty candle here.
Cooler looks like this is trying to come back up to VWAP. It has a wall of sell orders at 269. Now they just spread that out a little bit between 269 and 275. So let's see if the volume can kick up and start taking these out. If we do, we should see a break of this downtrend that we're in since the pre-market. APLD, that's also trying to push up here. AIFF, this one might actually, if this recaptures VWAP, we might see some better trading out of AIFF. And then NMHI, this has been trying to get above 360 and has not had success yet. If it continues to not have success, I think it loses VWAP. So that's what I've got my eyes on at the moment.
Okay. AIFF approaching that 5 level. Yes, Fairchild. Aaron, you can follow up with Aaron. Market is trying to bounce here. That 582.50. I mean, I want to say it's 582.30, but it's not bouncing clean off that. It's trying here. I don't want to get too excited though.
AIFF, that's working. We have another minute and a half left in this candle to close above VWAP, and it's still trying to get above it. But this is the kind of movement we want to see. Jasper Reed is asking about ZJYL. I can answer that one for you. Let me just pull it up here. I think this is one of those. This is that wild one that just out of the blue ran up, over $1,000, $2,000 or something, and this came right back in. What's your question with this? Are you just curious to know about this company and if it's a good trade or not? I mean, haven't had any news on it since October. This is, I think, just nothing more than a trading vehicle. I don't think that there's anything real about this company. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but they, don't have any real read on their income. Their balance sheet is okay, but I don't have any read on what this company has been doing lately. And it's got 49 million shares in the float. So there's AIFF trying to break over VWAP, coming back in. Hasn't broken down yet, but the volume is increasing.
Sorry, 13. I do think I've got something going on with my internet here today, so I'm not sure, not feeling great.
NBIS. I think Jay Walker was mentioning this because it was
Jay Rice was mentioning.
I'm sorry, Jay Rice. You're right. Yes, Jay Rice.
He's been on this one since Story Trading was talking about this one.
I was trading this one yesterday because it had some pretty good movement, but I didn't hold any of it. Still more upside. Looking to go to 38.69, I would think, because that was our high from December 9th. We can get past that. Looks like 44.60 could be on the docket.
Yeah, NBIS, that 40 breakout sure looks like that's something that it's trying for here. You guys are talking about NMHI, this knife right down to the VWAP and held. I'm going to wait for this to firm up here. I'm not going to try on any of these kind of riskier names here.
I think you did great in identifying where that resistance was. 360. You'd been talking about it. Every time it had tried to pop up there, it gets slapped down by that seller. I think that was great. So we identified where the weakness is. Now, if it does come back up, recapture VWAP, we're going to be looking at 360 again for that breakout, because we're going to need to see the volume, higher volume, in order to take out that seller.
Lexaria, ticker LEXX. This is one of those stocks that's running all types of paid ads on CNBC in the morning. They tout the GLP-1 angle here. Oral dihydrotech trizepatide reduces side effects by half with comparable efficacy versus Eli Lilly's injectable GLP-1 drug Zepbound. So this, at least on the surface here, this seems pretty good. This stock getting hammered, though. Trizepatide produced reduced adverse events of 47% compared to injected Zepbound. So it looks like you're still getting results with less side effects. That's what the PR here means. LEXX down 12% here. I know you folks were talking about Lilly getting hammered here. LEXX, this also down 12% on the back of that PR.
Guardian of Galaxy.
And initially that PR popped it. This just the market not rewarding it. Sorry, 13, didn't mean to run you over there.
No, Guardian of Galaxy. I'm glad you brought Palantir up, because I've been looking at a daily chart now, and we are getting a pretty decent resolution of this head and shoulders that's on the daily chart here. And I can tell right now that this is not having a great time trying to get back above the 50-day SMA. So if it does continue to not be able to close above that simple moving average, I do believe, yes, we will see 60 in this. Is that going to be where the bottom is? I don't know for sure, but I'm leaning more towards no. I think this thing may even end up coming down somewhere around between 40 and 45. If we get a full resolution of this head and shoulders, that's where it could end up. So we'll see if that's what happens. But I do believe 60 is entirely possible on a failure recapture of the 50-day SMA.
Yeah, that's really good stuff there, 13. And honestly, 60 is one of the first levels that I'm kind of waiting for here to re-stab at Palantir for a potential long. That's worth noting. Can you give me those levels again on the resolution of the Head and Shoulders. I'm just going to plot them here on the chart so they're here the next time. Did you say 45? What was the?
Yeah. If we lose 60, then I think that the support's going to be closer to between 45 and 40 and 45. That'd be the demand zone. It's also down where the 200-day SMA is. So you've got a couple of indicators down there saying that maybe 40 is about where the support is, but it could be a little bit higher than that, but definitely it should be lower than 45. Because there's also a gap. If we lose 46.84, there's a gap to fill all the way down to about 42. So,
okay, real good stuff there. Here's that gap that you're talking about, by the way. Okay, good stuff there on Palantir.
Moses, from your lips to God's ears. I mean, if he's listening, we'll see if he takes that into consideration. But things need to happen first. We need to see that rejection, that failure to recapture the 50-day SMA for all this to take place.
Hey, SMR mentioned here, Andrew Senior TV mentioning SMR. This having a nice little move here too. This obviously some of those nuclear stocks have kind of had a bit of a pullback, looking like it's trying to bounce here. SMR plus 6.5%. How did some of those other ones do? NNE, Nano Nuclear, that's up 6.6% as well. How about OKLO? We getting a run in all of those nuclear now? OKLO up about 3.5%. All of these a little bit higher here. I wonder what's going on with the nuclear stuff.
They probably they may have sold off way too hard. I mean,
just kind of a regression back to the mean.
Well, I mean, yeah, because let's take OKLO for example. I mean, it's a bad example because it's just been so crazy. But just strictly looking at from where it was in the highs back on January 7th to where we are today, or actually the lows. Let's go to the lows where it was getting support before it recaptured the 50-day. That was almost a 32% corrected move. So that was a pretty big sell-off. And it's not surprising that this is bouncing. It could still sell off further, but we would need to see it recapture 25 if there's going to be continued upside. That would be the level for me. If it can get above and close and start trading higher above 25, then there might be some more price action to the upside in OKLO. Otherwise, it looks like 25 is just going to be a resistance area, and it sends it lower if it can't recapture.
Former resistance level and a potential gap fill above that. Yeah, and this did come off the trend line here on OKLO. So, but all of those nuclear stocks seeming to be moving together here, all of them positive. OKLO now picking up to the upside here as it holds above the VWAP. Or some of the, let me check in on Tesla and NVIDIA real quick.
All right.
Tesla here, 415, looking like this is trying to flirt with the VWAP 2. This is right at the area where it popped to after that PPI print this morning. NVIDIA, how are we doing here? NVIDIA still holding on to green, but barely. Boy, 0.5% here.
EIX, still another red day. Probably going to still continue to get days like, probably not days like it's had the past few trading days, but probably still show weakness, as it has not been able to get those, Southern California has not been able to get those fires out yet. And now they're being, Southern California is being sued for, potentially being one of the issues of why these fires even started in the first place. But no evidence of that yet. Palantir breaking over VWAP, by the way.
BBIO, this is up almost 6% here today. It's like we got some news near the close yesterday. SEC Form 8 out yesterday. Scotiabank buy rating. BBIO, this having a nice day here today. Didn't this get mentioned earlier? Oh, no. Was that Ryan mentioning BBAI?
It was BBAI that was getting mentioned. That had some...
Yeah. And BBAI, this was a good mention too, Ryan. I'm sorry. It took me a while to get to this one. We did pop above those pre-market highs and stopped right at 330. This is going in a pretty decent volume. Pop in here. So this is kind of interesting here. The back test, maybe if this can hold VWAP at 319, 320. We'll see.
Let me take a look here. Yeah, at 325 area. If it gets me, because you've got this pop in the morning up to was it about 323 ish, and then it came back in and went sideways until that breakout beyond 323, and now we're back testing 323 as support. So I think you're right. We need to hold right about there in order for this to go higher. Looks
this was a good this wasn't on my list. This is a good mention from Ryan here.
And
Ryan, you got a good name. What can I say?
MSTR strong today. Well, is Bitcoin strong today? Because if it is, then
Bitcoin is strong. So that's something else we really hadn't looked at. I'll bring up MSTR here. Bitcoin actually recaptured 96K overnight, and it's been strong again this morning. So I suppose I'm unsurprised to see MicroStrategy trade the way it has here. Let me go ahead and I looked at MicroStrategy here first. Let me bring up the crypto chart, then we can take a look at crypto, see if you have any levels for crypto 13.
Okay.
Or for Bitcoin, I suppose I should say, not just crypto.
Yeah. And then, well, we're getting a mention about GUR as well from Parker's Thinkorswim. But Lion Atlas, you think it's a good time to start picking up some EIX? That depends on the trade plan. I agree that this thing is so oversold that it's just an absolutely killer low RSI play. I just am concerned that as long as these fires go on, and we do have additional wind advisories for Southern California starting today and tomorrow, so this whole thing could spread and continue to hammer the stock. But I agree that this is going to be just an absolute screaming buy at some point, and because of how oversold it is. And there's a lot of protections that California has for insurance companies and utility companies for wildfires like this. So I think that this may be a really overdone move in the stock price.
Where's that level at? Is it this one right in here? Is it this 55?
Well, yeah, we bounced off 55 yesterday. So that's kind of why we're wondering, okay, well, maybe it's starting to slow down the selling here, and there might be a rebound coming. But I feel like until the fires are all out, that this could still potentially go down, especially if more fires spread and the situation exacerbates and gets bigger. That's the only concern I have. Otherwise, I agree. This thing is just so oversold. So 8 RSI.
Yeah, I mean that's why that's one of the lowest readings we've seen ever.
So yes, I agree, and I'm just not sure about the timing. Not yet.
Let's see, what do those options look? Pan W, nice today. Let's see what EIX options look like. Well, I'll tell you what, we are starting to see some call buying in the February contract here on EIX now. It looks like the 62.5 February call had some action here today. 1,000 plus contracts bought versus an open interest of 49. Those are definitely new trades here.
Draw a line at 62.5 and then look on a daily chart. That might give you an idea of why they think that's a good price. That's a great bounce area for a bear flag. So you bounce, you get the trading.
And this
up.
was all in 13. This was also previous resistance in 2020. So yep. I think you're right there on that 62.50 level.
Yeah, so that could be. I mean, it could be a good rebound, but until these fires are out, until we get some more clarity on what's going on,
that's fair. Yeah,
I feel like this could still go lower, but there should be still bounces along the way down, and that might be one of the bounce plays that we're seeing with the options.
Okay, so this is a decent one to have on the radar here for a bounce play. I'm with you in terms of your thesis in terms of getting, the fire's getting out, then we can start making a call here. But this is interesting. Now that this has fallen, the way that the RSI looks and all that, this is an interesting level for a potential long.
Yeah. Tuna's smoking. That's where he's at. Yeah. Christopher Anthony mentioning PDYN, new high a day, and also
that's that AI play Paladine.
Yeah,
indeed, this is really good. PDYN. This is probably one of the better trades of the day. Sorry, I wasn't on this one. Good stuff, Chris. Our Rich Tech Robotics. That makes it okay. So this is moving on volume. Shame on me for not having this up here. Serve doing something very similar, although it doesn't have the volume pop here on Serve. Did we have any? We didn't have any news on RR, did we?
Not that I'm familiar with.
Nope, nothing fresh there.
Looks like NMHI is trying to make another run for its VWAP. So that'll be something to watch for. It's at the VWAP's at 330 for me, and if it can recapture that, then it might try to do that 360. Try to take out that 360 seller again.
I've got the VWAP at 316 in my prop and 304 in trading view here in pro.
AIFF getting weaker. This is going to be coming down to a demand zone, which I have between 340 and 380. So we'll see if it gets any support when it comes down to that price.
That's AIFF, right?
That's it. Yep. Palantir recaptured VWAP. That's trying to get back up to the intraday high of 68.23. See what happens when it gets back up there.
Nick mentioning Eli Lilly here. Eli Lilly did really kind of put at that bottom in here. What was that, 730? Is that where we kind of bounced off of? Yeah, 730 so far. A 12-point bounce off that on its way back to VWAP here. Nick, if you traded that, that's really awesome.
Getting asked about GER. It might be putting in a megaphone pattern at on the 5-minute chart, but it might need a little bit more time before it tries to push higher. So I would want to see it, try to hold the 1340 area as it broadens the out the candles, making this pattern. But if it loses that level, then we would need to see it hold VWAP, because that would be the last line before it turns bearish.
KITT getting mentioned here. Volume pop. Good call, Wiss. You're right on that. That stopped right at 270, it looks like.
Looks like, yeah, Palantir is still slowly making its way up to that intraday high. NBIS, new highs, 36.99 now.
KB Homes giving back its earnings pop. It's given back about 3/4 of that so far.
A lot of consolidation in these movers right now.
NMHI rejected at that 321 VWAP.
Where did I get that demand zone from 340 to 380 for AIFF from? So if we're looking at AIFF, and we're looking at the price action in the pre-market, you can see that in the pre-market, 380 was a resistance area, because you had the wicks coming, the earliest wicks on the initial move come up to 380 and was getting rejected there. We finally did get some pops over it, but those were only wicks. We never really got any closes above 380, and then it came right back in. It wasn't until later on, closer to the open, within 30 minutes of the open, where we started to get some actual closes above that level. So based on that resistance that we were getting, it looks like 380 was a resistance level that is now a support level. As far as 340 goes, on those a lot of those moves back down from getting rejected on at 380, there was a lot more support, especially after at 8 a.m. There was a lot more support at 340, and that was the support that took us up through 380. So that's why I'm saying 380 and 340 as that area of consolidation where we might see some support for AIFF.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense. 13, double top.
XXII, this coming back in. This actually lost its VWAP.
Yeah, my cousin
Hit popping more now.
I'm getting asked if a double top at PLTR at 68. I think we were looking at that earlier, not too long ago. We were talking about how there could be a double top if it gets to 68.23, which is the intraday high, and is unable to go any higher than that, and it starts to reverse and go lower. Then that could be absolutely an intraday double top, and that may end up being as high as we go for the rest of the day. Now, we could end up selling off after that, getting to a very low point and then turning around and going higher. But that is not it's not as likely to happen.
AEHR. This is a stock that we've taken a look at before. This reported earnings yesterday after the close, and boy, oh boy, not good. Things getting worse here today. This stock down almost 30%, taking its next leg lower after that earnings report. You could see the trend that we were in, the downtrend that we broke. Boy, we are right back in there. AEHR, this down here at a support level. This actually might go lower if this breaks. This is not great here, AEHR.
Well, thank you, Florida Yacht Insurance Guy. I hope that I'm being articulate enough so that everybody understands what I'm talking about. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, I think you are, whatever that's worth. SoFi, you guys mentioning SOFI. Wiz saying SoFi on Tiger playing tonight. So, of course, Tiger, this is his first day TGL, playing TGL. Should be fun to see. SoFi, nice little ramp here. I don't think this has, just to be clear, I don't think this has anything to do with the indoor golf league that's going to be on again tonight. But nice little ramp here for SoFi. I would imagine that this trade's pretty positive. The banks have been better. I would imagine this would also respond to bank earnings here. It has its own earning in 13 days, Monday before the market closes. You'll have to position that Friday ahead if you want to use options. SoFi having a fairly decent day here. I don't see any line on this, and no, I don't think this is related to the TGL tonight.
NMHI, this, I want to say it looks like it's trying to turn around. The volume needs to be better than this, but it's trying to not go any lower than 285. So just keep an eye on it. See what it does if it gets closer to VWAP. The volume picks up, because if it does, we might see some price action that pushes up towards the highs. But you need to see those two things happen. You need to see a little bit more movement up towards VWAP. You need to see better volume.
Okay.
Just kind of looking around and seeing what's going on.
Another rejection right at the VWAP, literally while you were talking about that.
Oh, did it just jump right up there and get the smackdown?
NMHI, yeah. I mean, I think my VWAP's a little bit different than yours, but yeah. I mean, right on this chart here, look at this. This is literally when you were talking, it just immediately moved away from that.
Yeah, my VWAP
immediately moved away from that level, yeah.
Mine's up at 330, so we do have a little bit of a different one. That's okay, though. Also, I mean, like I said, lots of consolidation happening in some of these names. I'm just looking to see which ones are trying to choose a direction. And a lot of that is going to depend upon the amount of volume that they have going on at the time. And right now, they all kind of look like they've got about the same amount of volume. Cooler might be trying to turn around, but volume once again. BBAI, this one looks like it is trying to get back up to 330. Just don't like the way those wicks on the top of each of these candles has been looking lately. Like a seller keeps stepping in every time it gets up to a certain level.
Tom mentioning DraftKings, DKNG, otherwise known as Donkey Kong in some circles. This having a nice day. Someone asked yesterday about a potential trade around the Super Bowl for DraftKings. I feel like we've tried this before with pretty poor results. You might have better opportunity trading this into the Super Bowl on the run up to the Super Bowl. I feel like we have more success with that than we do the event itself.
NMHI might be bubbling here. The trade that we've observed when it comes to DraftKings since it came onto the market is it does really well leading up into the Super Bowl, and then because they have earnings shortly after, it tends to sell off either right before the Super Bowl or right after, ahead of the earnings. Sometimes I think there was only one time when it didn't, but anyway, it tends to trade up into that event.
You had a recent recapture of the 200-day on DraftKings. Today, especially if we close above 40.38, you're going to have a recapture of the 50-day. So this is actually looking pretty good at the moment. No position for me on DraftKings. How does Flutter look? Ticker FLUT. That would be the FanDuel parent company. Just having the same type of performance here. So it looks like these are kind of moving in tandem here. I think I like Flutter a little bit more than DraftKings, although DraftKings is probably more liquid.
What is okay? I'm trying to see if ENRA is popping up for me. ENRA.
That's a penny stock.
I don't even have it coming up here for me. EN. ENRA. It doesn't give me anything. Is that a
I,
mistype?
yeah, you must be off by a letter. It was on here earlier. I saw one that was just like that.
ENRA.
I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see here. ERNA. Eterna Therapeutics. Okay. ERNA. Let's see what we got here. Zoom in here. So we got move over the 50-day SMA, the first one in a while, since at least July. Now we're coming up to some consolidation here. We're up near $1, where there is certainly to be some resistance. What's the news? Results on a clinical trial, preclinical study. So we're not even in the phases yet. What's their cash position look like? Got 4.2. They lose a lot more than that. They're going to have to do a raise. They need money. They also did some board changes. They have a stock repurchase program, a $1 million. Well, they have $1 million.
Staff continuing to lose that demand zone that we talked about earlier. Also watch for $3 to fall here on staff.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a whole lot. Maybe there is, but with the float being 50 million shares, the news is preclinical. They need cash. I don't know how much more meat is left on this bone, if you get what I'm saying.
NVIDIA here finally went red. And actually just kind of looking at the broader market here, NASDAQ actually pulling back off the highs as well. Ryan, have some coffee. You look like you are not having a good day. I actually am having a great day here. I'm totally surprised that the swing account is moving to the upside, largely because of Portillo's and Ondas here. So I'm actually having a great day, but I'm trying not to get ahead of myself because very much like the theme of the broader market that we talked about, I want to see if this holds. Right? I want to see if this holds here today. I am disappointed about my internet. I seem to be having an internet issue here, and it's stopping me from being as active. But in terms of the actual day here, no complaints yet.
All right, let's take a look at these movers. Looks like everything's just kind of headed down. I don't see any of these movers. Maybe GUR looks like that one's trying to go higher. Maybe even push into the
RR looks to be the big one that's kind of moving here. It looks like this just stopped right shy of its pre-market high there. I didn't trade this one at all, though, RR.
Does anyone know what's the difference between buying MSTR, BitX, and Bitcoin? Well, I'm not familiar with BitX. Bitcoin is simply just the actual asset itself, and MSTR is a company that mines and buys Bitcoin.
Yeah, so these are three entirely different assets there. I think, isn't that BitX? Isn't that an ETF too?
It certainly sounds like it.
Yeah, Volatility Shares 2X Bitcoin Strategy ETF. So this is going to give you levered Bitcoin exposure. I guess MicroStrategy is going to do the same thing. But these are three just entirely different things. Bitcoin is the underlying asset that those other two, MSTR and BITX, are moving off of. MSTR, the angle there is that they're holding more Bitcoin than anyone else by a vast margin in their on their balance sheet, and they sell bonds in order to buy more Bitcoin. So they're entirely different, entirely different.
And then we got Clean Slate telling us that BITX is futures. So those are technically contracts. They don't own the underlying. It's very similar to BITO in that sense. All right. Movers. Which ones are doing it and which ones are not? Looks like Palantir came right back beneath VWAP. Didn't even get up to the intraday high of 68.23. Got up to, looks like 67.80, 87.
AIFF, this might be setting up for a move through its VWAP. Broke down and lost this not long ago. We'll see if it can recapture it. That would be pretty good. I actually have a VWAP at 461 in the prop account, 435 right here in Benzinga Pro. So we'll see what this does here at 435. I see some size there at 437 on AIIF, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, Clancy, you're right. The monthly contracts is just like BITO. Those you can't really trade them the same way if you trade Bitcoin. You can, they're similar, but they're not. I think if you wanted this to do the underlying, then I would go with the BlackRock ETF. That one is
BITO or no?
No, that's the contracts one, I believe. IBIT, I think, is what it is.
IBIT.
Yes,
that's your iShares, but yeah.
This is nothing but Bitcoin in this ETF. That's all it holds. All right. So staff went down and made an intraday low of 292. Not looking too great here with this one. Maybe this one is going to be done for now. Applied Digital, this one might also be trying to turn around from its intraday low as well. 880 was the lowest it got. Cooler coming down to a 65 EMA, which I have at 244. Looks like my cousin's trying to turn around and recapture VWAP. Palantir really selling now. All these names not looking too hot here right now.
No, Lily, this continuing to bounce. That was a good mention earlier on Lily. Whoever talked about that one, when that's really kind of sold off. This is actually almost 15 points off those lows on Lily. I'll tell you what, the movers here, not great. Not great here today. Not great action.
No. Got a question here. Was there a trade for fires? And I think you're referring to the California fires. Yes, there was. The EIX was a incredible short. You also have some of these other companies that are involved with like BAER. That's a
aerial firefighting company out of Montana.
Then you're also going to be wanting to look for some of the things are going to be needing to be tapped in order to handle the situation. So you have a whole bunch of people that are now displaced, have no homes because they burned to the ground, sadly. So you are going to be seeing a lot of attention towards Airbnbs and hotels. That would be my expectation. You're going to need a lot of cleanup. So companies like CAT, Deere, Waste Management, RSG, those are all going to have some part to play in the cleanup and rebuilding of that area.
Deere, by the way, was one of the stocks that you just mentioned there. Just a ridiculous candle yesterday. Ridiculous bullish candle yesterday on pretty good volume. And then I'll go back to you here, but then for some of that rebuilding here, remember Home Depot and Lowe's, a lot of overlap with some of the hurricane plays that we've talked about recently. Lowe's and Home Depot have recently kind of moved up off those levels. This Lowe's chart looks pretty good. You can't see it on this chart because I don't have it turned on. But if I go over to the daily chart that I have here on Lowe's, let me show you where this was in reference to the 200-day. Pretty good. It did a really good job holding on to that. Now it looks like it's trading back up. I almost think 261 probably your next stop here on ticker LOW.
And some other themes that you can take a look at for some of these with some of these companies, because this is something that we've talked about in Happy Hour, and we think that we could be seeing this at some point soon. A lot of moving out of California. I think that this is going to be it for folks. They're tired of the fires. They want to go places where there's fewer natural disasters,
and where they can get their home insured.
Where they can get their home insured, absolutely. So we're already seeing some upticks in companies like U-Haul, the ticker's UHAL, Penske Group, that's PAG, Ryder System, ticker R, JB Hunt, which is JBHT, and then Knight Swift, which is KNX. Those could, and I know that it seems like, well, what are they going to move? They lost a lot of stuff in the fire. They took some stuff with them, and they're still going to need to. They have other things out there that weren't lost in the fire as well. They're going to have stuff to move. Those companies should see some movement as well. And then let's see, apparel. Lots of donations are coming in, for food and for clothing. And usually when people donate, it's because they are, not only trying to help, but make room for newer stuff. Mm-hmm. So we should see some replacement buying on the apparel side as well.
I seem to do it the opposite, right? I seem to get the new clothes from Costco, and then I clean out the old clothes to make room for the new ones. I don't do it the smart way here. You folks were mentioning, or at least Cyril here mentioning Boise Cascade. This got mentioned yesterday in the happy hour show as well. This is up off the lows. This is a wood play, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh, yes.
Producer engineered wood products and plywood. Is this going to do any of the treated wood for fire retardant wood? I can't remember if they do that. I ran you over there though.
No, you didn't. I was just I completely forgot about that aspect of the rebuilding. Yes, I don't know that they're going to have necessarily all this wood that's been treated for to resist fires suddenly propping up everywhere. I think this takes some time to make, but still ETF for timber and forestry, WOOD wood. We probably going to see.
That's one of my favorites.
Probably going to see some more upside in this, as there's going to be a demand for lumber. And these aren't going to start moving right away. Some might, some won't, but these are all going to be future themes. It's just going to. I really feel like this is going to dominate a lot of the news this year. The devastation, the rebuilding, insurance. This is going to take up a lot of news, because it's basically the biggest thing that's happening right now.
And because of how much damage there is, there actually might be inflationary worries from all of the spending during the rebuild here too. Something else to think of. SPY S&P futures are moving to the lower here. We don't necessarily want to say it's a sell-off. We're still holding higher here by 0.2 on the SPY, but we are at the intraday lows. We've been here a few times today, frankly, revisiting the same level. We'll see if we eventually crack this. We continue to make runs at this level. I do think it eventually cracks.
As he's saying, this will be like hurricanes in Florida. People will come back to California. I'm sure they will, but that's not going to happen immediately. And when they do, we're still going to be looking at those moving stocks, because they're going to need those as well. So we have both the return and the flight as well. Yes, line outlets. That's a great point. CAT does look stronger. There you go. Cut, another lumber ETF. Perfect. So there you go. You guys are you're helping us find this stuff now. This is what we want to see. We need to, communities coming together. We're finding these names based off where money's going to be going to resolve the nation of this tragedy, and we should be there to when the money flows.
Costco down 1% for you, 13.
I'm warming up my hands because it's cold.
I know it needs to drop more for you to get excited about that, but SPY still holding that level here.
Yes.
582.30. Is that really what it was? Well, not really, but I mean, it's kind of around that area, interestingly enough.
Let me see here on the SPY, because you said we are rebounding.
Yeah. NNBR. So what's going on here? So this is actually ramping on volume. Shout out to the Benzinga Pro Relative Volume Scanner. What's going on with this one here? NNBR. 73 million in new business wins in 2024. That was out this morning before the open. Market cap is only 120 million, so 73 million in new business. So that sounds pretty good on the surface.
Gosh, that 582.30 level, that has just been the support this all day today. It was the support in the pre-market. That was where it broke out of when we got the PPI print. That's where we got support at 9.55. And that's where we're getting support now. So unless we start moving away from this level and make some new highs, I feel like the support's going to collapse. You can't keep hammering it like this because that's how these levels get lost. Definitely keep an eye on that.
Interesting. So this NNBR here, this ramping, this stock, NN, I'm not familiar with the company, is a diversified industrial company that combines engineering and production capabilities with in-depth materials science expertise to design and manufacture high-precision solutions and components. It also operates China, Mexico, Brazil, Germany, and other countries. So it looks to be an international company. The mobile solutions segment involves growth in the general industrial and automotive end markets. Its power solutions segment involves growth in the electrical, aerospace, and defense end markets. So this is a new piece of news here. PR pre-market here, but seems to be ramping on volume intraday here. Ticker NNBR.
Lion Atlas, you do what you want with your money, but if you made a donation off of your EIX winnings to the California firefighters, that would be nothing short of heroic. That's my opinion. You just made a whole bunch of money off of a hated utility company that may have potentially started the fire, and the money you're taking those proceeds and giving it to the people fighting it. I think that's heroic. That's just me, though. Looks like some of these movers are coming back. APLD, that's coming back up towards its VWAP. My cousin is trying to break through the VWAP. NMHI not having a great day. AIFF trying to turn around. Staff popped up to the VWAP but came back in. Maybe we're getting some turnaround here. Cooler trying to turn around as well. Yes, Mark E. Great point. Campers, RVs. Let's see. I had some of those listed here the other day. Let me pull that up for you because there are some good tickers in the RV and camper space. And be careful that you're not, looking at outdoor equipment because some just do, all-terrain vehicles and not necessarily camping equipment, and some do, watercrafts. So you got to be careful which ones we're looking for with those. But yes, I do agree that the motorhomes, RVs, definitely, because we saw the very same thing when Katrina happened. Lots of RVs were picked up in order to create a space for those folks to live.
Real quickly here, PDYN. I know Chris brought this up earlier. This has a nice little bounce off of its VWAP. This might be trying to go back to its highs as well. Watch the $9 level there on that one. SPY testing 583, still held that 582.30. Breath on the Dow has now gone negative. That's the first breath measurement to go negative.
Fire retardants as well. So APT, LAKE, and MWA could all be good plays for the California fires as well. Winnebago, I'm trying to pull up find this list that I had on. I typed out, struggling to find it here, but Winnebago is one of the publicly traded companies that would be right in that theme.
Mueller Water, that was that MWA ticker that you gave here. That's up here today.
There we go.
Carmen saying PDYN, I took the money and ran. That's what I would have done too, Carm. Nice. And you know what? Oops, I meant to give you the cash register ring, but you got both now. So there you go.
Yeah. Jam's got the Winnebago ticker. There's some other ones that I was looking up here, and I'm sorry I don't have my list in front of me anymore. I'm not sure what happened with it, but yes, that was a great mention. RVs and campers for the display.
Guys, NNBR is continuing to put new highs here. This is not pulling. The volume still looks pretty good here. I know we had a PR here this morning about new business wins. This is continuing to run here. NNBR, new highs. Not in this one. A little too slow. Whoever got this at 303, Kathy, well done. What a move here in NNBR. Definitely make sure you get yourself paid on that one.
Yeah, this is a pretty significant move.
Cyril here saying drones should be crazy as they can still help with the fire. Remember, there's actually laws against that. There's laws against flying drones over areas that are impacted by wildfires, largely because they have to put some of those out. In fact, I think they're still looking for a couple of people that crashed drones into firefighting equipment.
Yeah. So that's been a lot of the things that the public officials out there have been saying is do not fly drones. We will arrest you if you do that, because they have a whole bunch of aircraft flying around trying to put out these fires. I understand that, the use case for drones, but in this situation, I don't necessarily think they're doing massive assessments. They're just trying to get these fires stopped, rerouted. They're trying to contain them. And I mean, I haven't looked to see what the containment's like, but last night it
was like 11% when I checked it last night.
11 or 14%. It's still very, very, and there's new ones popping up too. So and today is the day where it could get worse. So yes, the Palisades fire still 17%, been burning for a week now. Eaton fire 35% contained. The Hearst fire is almost done.
Well, you know what? At least they're making progress on that. Yeah. At least they're making progress on that containment.
Yeah, they are. The unfortunate thing is that starting today and going through tomorrow, the winds are supposed to kick right back up, and it's going to be very, very difficult for the company. I'm sorry, the county to get all these fires taken care of while that's happening. And now we have a new auto fire in Ventura that started late yesterday. With no containment on that yet. So this is not finished, folks.
No, it certainly isn't. And we're getting more and more information about some of those fires being started and all that. Mm-hmm. Bad stuff across the board down there. Bad stuff across the board.
Yeah. This NNBR, though, if this continues to push up, I have a upside target of about 540, somewhere between 520 and 540. There seems to be the next resistance area. And if we can get through that, may end up closer to 10, but that would be the next area I'd be looking for maybe some profit taking, would be that 520 to 540 area. SPY now back down to that 582.20 and losing it. Ooh. This might be the break beneath that level where it does not recover. So that'll be something I'm watching for right now, and we'll know that it's not recovering if it loses 581.50.
Was NNBR halted? I think it was, and it just opened up here. So NNBR right at the VWAP here. We'll see if it bounces from this spot.
It seems like a lot of the good trading for the morning may have happened, and we just kind of need to be patient for some other setups, because I'm not seeing anything too good right now. You see these bounces and you're thinking, oh, it's starting to turn around, and then they just come right back in. Palantir, here we are with another test up to VWAP, but it got rejected, and now we're trying to see if it's holding up the 65 EMA. Same thing with BBAI. Now NBR really pulling here too.
NBR continuing to pull here, lost 4 in a hurry.
Yeah, so this is did something happen where it just pulling the whole market? Let me see here. Oh, the Fed speak. We say House Speaker Johnson says that disaster relief be part of the budget reconciliation discussion and debate. So that's setting up a fight for funding. Anyway, let's see. G-Man saying BBIO maybe. Well, let's take a look.
Some of the. I was just looking at some of the plays that we were playing earlier. 13. None of them look great. That ERNA, that was the penny stock. That's come off the highs. NMHI is actually broken down. This kind of seeing another kind of a janky intraday head and shoulders there on the one that actually moved lower here. I don't see a whole lot of these. BBIO, was that the one that you just mentioned?
Yeah.
Or was it BBAI?
No,
this BBIO is not bad either.
Well, the thing is that the volume has not been great ever since the open. Just look at these 5-minute volume, these 5-minute candles. The volume in there doesn't go really any higher than like 180,000 shares. We need to see these in the millions. Yeah. I feel like if it tries to go for that 35.83 high again, there's going to be a big rejection. the volume needs to be better in this one. But it's also very thin, so might be a large lack of sellers, just like there apparently is a large lack of buyers. We may just end up seeing a lot of sitting on hand, or a lot of just no trading until CPI tomorrow. Wow, look at the polls in some of these. My cousin polled right beneath the VWAP.
SPY right at 582.30. As soon as you said pull, I looked at the SPY to see where we were at there, right at that 582.30. It's doing its best to hold there.
Yeah. Yeah, it got flushed down and then it tried to recapture. This is a be careful day. I don't know if I'm going to be trading anything else. I had a couple of good trades in NMHI. Tried BBI, didn't work. Another NMHI trade didn't work. So I think I'm good. I think I'm good with the small gain I have.
Yeah, let's see here. Let's see. I took a small loss on AIFF and a small scalp higher on NMHI. Oh my God. I was positive $55 today.
Sebastian's
I might as well have not even showed up for day trading.
Sebastian is mentioning Hood, NNBR. That thing is just absolutely crushed.
Yeah, this thing, real trouble here on NNBR. I'm not sure. I mean, this came out of nowhere. The news, excuse me, the news that was fresh today was out an hour plus before the market opened here today.
Looks like Gurr is trying to push up. I'm taking a look at Hood now. Yeah. Let's see if it can break this intraday high of 43.25 here. This is, you can see there's a large wall here at 43.25. That's the high that it put in earlier today. So unless the volume increases here to push through it, I think this may be a rejection area. You need to see this that whole order.
I'll tell you what, this Hood sure looks like this wants to scream higher here.
Well, it needs to see better volume than this. And,
all right, folks, Anne-Marie coming up here in a few minutes.
And it's great because, the market's getting pretty tired right now. So we can pay attention to what she has to say.
And let me know if there are any stocks that you want to set it up. Let me take a look at my list. I know a couple of you suggested stocks. UNH actually was one. We can take a look at that. We could also ask here about Hood. And we've got bank earnings coming up. So she might have a list of stocks on the bank earnings that we're looking at or that we're looking for. So we'll see. But yeah, UNH, that's all I have on here. So let me know. Let me know. Maybe ON. Right, you were talking yesterday about an interesting article that you put in the happy hour chat regarding Fleet Feet, which is a store I actually go to. It was actually just there when I went to go buy my ON shoes. So I actually have some experience with what that article was mentioning here. This stock looks to be primed for a nice 2025.
Well, according to that article, the CEO was saying they've been having a hard time getting products from On, and that's led to them missing out on market share.
Well, that's true too, because when I went to the store, they didn't even have a size for me to try on. And the other thing that the article mentioned is there are other brands there that the CEO had mentioned. It's very, very clear that the CEO and the management team is actually training the floor employees on what to say. The Karu brand that was mentioned in the article, they tried to push that one. Brooks, the same deal. So they obviously have deals on different shoes there. I had no trouble getting my ons from Zappos, if there's any consolation there. But okay, you see anything else you want to kind of end the day with here, 13? Cat or DE for Anne-Marie? I'm going to ask about DE, that's for sure. I'm definitely going to ask about DE. She had one on Deere recently, and we had like I mentioned, we had that huge power candle yesterday. Did we lose 13? Yeah, I think we did. I think he's frozen there. unless it's just me. Just me? Okay, I think we lost 13 there. Yep, there we go. 13 is out, but that's okay. We were almost at the end of the show here anyway. We are going to go over to Anne-Marie in less than 2 minutes. Nope, he's frozen. Oh, I know that was a mistype, but that was a funny mistype nonetheless. So don't worry. We're going to go over to Anne-Marie here in a sec. We thank 13 for all of his input and all of that. Maybe there's something weather-wise going on in Texas. Let me go ahead and drop this screen share here real quick. Can I get a thumbs up from the special guest in the back? Okay. Well, hang on. 13 came back. So first, we're going to bring 13 back on to formally say goodbye before I bring Anne-Marie back on.
Sorry about that. I don't know what went down there. I got the blue screen of death, and my computer said, "Hey, we're restarting. You have no options." So sorry about that, folks. I don't think I really had anything important to add. I've got a better guest coming on anyway, so put your hands together.
Whoa. We're all great here.
Okay. I'm out, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have no more computer issues. Take care, everybody.
13. Have a good one, man. Take care of yourself. All right. 13's departure leaves room for Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, happy Tuesday. How are you doing here today?
I'm doing well. I love how humble 13 is because he is a rock star. He's a fantastic guy.
Yeah, me too. That's I like bringing people on. I like bringing people on that are like that. So, okay, we've been battling some internet issues here, Anne-Marie. So hope everything is okay on your end. Looks like we did have a stock, but I'd be curious is there anything that you're looking at here? Did the PPI set anything off for you? Got anything planned here?
There are a couple of big things to look at. I wanted to ask you what the short interest on, oh shucks, what was that one that was just flying off the, dang it, did I write it down? Sugar. No, I didn't write it down. We were talking about, wait, let me check my Benzinga platform. It might be, was it C's? Crudsickles. Anyway, no, can't remember that.
Was it one from today?
Yes, you guys were talking about it real briefly, and something big popped up. You said, "Hey, I think it's going to scream," and then my thought was, I wonder what the short interest is.
So Hood. So it would have been Robinhood then, because I was actually looking at the daily chart here on Robinhood, and I said it sure looks like Robinhood wants to scream higher from here.
Yeah, it could easily do that. Now, I did read from my handy dandy, very trusty Benzinga Pro platform that they got out from under this SEC probe.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying a $45 million settlement. So they're all fine and dandy. And then it moved up again. But I wonder what the short interest is there, because earnings are coming on the 12th of February, I think. What do you have?
Yeah, I've got you here on all of that. The short interest here on Hood as of the last report, which came January 10th, that is a fresh report, 2.07% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. So there is some short interest in there, but it's
not a lot. Okay.
Fairly small. Now, the earnings question that you had, they are confirmed for aftermarket on February 12th. So we are just about a month away on earnings for Robinhood.
Right. So my suspicion is they're going to give a fair bit of that back, especially if we take a look at what the weekly chart is doing. It's very, very range bound. So my thought is that we might have ourselves a cheap put butterfly. So let's take a peek at where the traders are sitting for February. I sent this to you in Slack, but I definitely wanted to reiterate. We are coming up on the 3 most volatile OPEXs of the year. January, February, and March. And that could really give us outsized moves. And so if we anticipate that hood is sitting at the top of its range here, and we say to ourselves, what if I want to take a trade before earnings? So we'd look at February 14th as our expiry and see if we can find ourselves, the pricing is not too bad. If we can go, let's see.
I will say that is tough to see. I don't know
Okay.
if we've
Oh,
adjusted
yes.
that.
I
That
always
is
forget.
very tough to see.
Dang it.
I was going to say Thinkorswim not friendly to sharing on screen. There are other,
times
they're
true.
just not. It's just everything is so small. It is what it is, though.
I'll do extra large. Kaboom. Oh, yes. We are really going to make tracks now. Okay. So in the weekly formation, we've got a range that is about $7 wide, right? Could be a little smaller, could be a little bigger. So what we want to look at is something that sort of gets us right at this, maybe this 40 line into 36 potentially. So let's see what 40 to 35 gives us. This should be 40, 35, and then 30. It's a little bit expensive if you're just trading for the fade. Let's see. Oh, more expensive. Let's look at the 31st, or maybe the first week after expiry. Okay, so let's anticipate that we're going to see sort of a shock reversal. And so what I did was I only gave this trade 10 days to work. $62, $500 upside total, less the $62 and what you might expect for a little bit of volatility. I would say put your stop at maybe 50 or 60% and see if this thing actually comes back into the midline, because I think it should. And the reason for that is I suspect when we see a savage move like this, to me, it always is short covering. Not always.
Is that why you were asking about the short interest?
Yes.
Yeah, I gotcha.
wanted
Okay.
to see if there was a ton more that could
Gotcha.
boost it higher. And if there's only one day to cover, no, I don't think so. So my thought is it'll come back, fill the gap, come into maybe 39 or so, which should give this trade a potential doubling. So what you could do, because there's enough volume, I think, to choke around in here, if you want to set it in the queue for 40 cents, see if you can get it. If it goes, great.
Okay.
If it doesn't, no harm, no foul.
Okay. I like that. I like that patient approach too, right?
Yes.
Put out a decent order there and make it work for you, lower your risk. Okay, I like that. I like that there on hood.
Okay, the next one is Lily.
Perfect. We got asked about this earlier. Couldn't be more perfect.
And so, Lily, when Lily moves, it really moves a lot.
Yeah.
And so now that earnings has started and the guidance towards earnings and people sort of pre-reporting to tell folks what they might expect, right? So this morning from the Benzinga Pro platform, we have Eli Lilly cuts Q4 revenue guidance. And so they're doing that ahead of the actual earnings event to temper the market. And so we could have ourselves a pretty big move in one direction or another. Notice on my handy dandy box. And let's maximize this.
Real quick, while you're drawing that here, Tom was asking what was the expiration date on that. I think, Tom, you
The
were referring to the
24th.
hood trade. That's
Yes.
the 24th. That's the weekly the second to last weekly contract in January.
Yes. Let's activate this drawing and pull it out. And we can see we're still inside of this box. So what do we know about Lilly? It is a very institutionally held instrument. And so when it comes into a key level, it's very likely to bounce off of that level in the near term. And here it comes right at that 730. The midline of this box should be somewhere around maybe 755 or so, top of the box. Let's actually use our brain here. 714 to 795. That's rounding about $80. So $40 up from this area, 55. Okay, eyeballs have worked. All right. So what we expect potentially is a bounce into this area over, I don't know, maybe it might be 4 or 5 days. So let's see how expensive this is. Again, quick trade. We want to give it a little bit of time, but not too much time. And we have the, oh, wait. I forgot to find out where the 2.6. All right. So if we use, let's say, the 31st of January, and we say, all right, we're going to give this, we might have some noisy shenanigans around here, but we're going to give this an idea that it's going to bounce between 450 and 460 over the next couple of days. 75 cents. $1,000 upside, and it's dropping, right? So again, remember the storyboard with these butterflies. They tend to be cheap because their probabilities of actually expiring in the money at the center strike is very, very low.
Mhm.
So that is never the strategy. It's never, I'm going to hold this until expiration. We'll see what happens. No. What we want to do is have it get inside of the top strike and ideally close to the center strike. And then we take whatever the market gives us. Okay. It
Okay.
could be 3x, could be 4x, could be 2x, could be 9x. Okay. But you can see it shifting around.
I was just going to say that. I'm so
yeah.
glad you were to say. It started at 60 cents. I think that just popped up to 160.
Yeah. So what we want to do is try to get it at 70 cents, right? We're going to use about a 50% stop, and it is what it is. Either it works or it doesn't, right? But your risk is not, you're not going to go, holy cow, I got to bet the farm on this because XYZ. No, because when they work, you're going to make 200 to 300x.
Mhm.
And when they don't, you're going to lose 0.5x, right? And so this is what we want to look for in this particular space within this particular time frame. That is my thought, simply because when these fades tend to happen at the base, it really doesn't take more than a few days for it to bounce, and you can see it trying to bounce off of this range. Now, my thought is the market is going to try and test its lower bounds today and then bounce again. But
Okay.
we've got CPI, which is huge, and a slurry of other things on the horizon. There's so much volatility in the market. It's just, beyond crazy. Now, if you're
Yeah,
saying to yourself, go ahead.
Really quick question here, just because you were talking about how you expect this to resolve. This trade's either going to work or it's not going to work in pretty short order.
Yes.
Is this a situation where you're just trying to get this filled today? If you don't get it filled today, you're moving on?
Exactly.
Do you give this a couple of days? Or okay, so this is about today then.
Yeah, I would say between today and tomorrow.
Okay. Perfect.
Today and tomorrow. Because certainly if this thing gaps and then comes back into the volume point of control, this is the highest volume line, the highest volume bar in the chart. And so if we can get it back into value area low, which is what this is, the 485-ish zone, we can close that and make a ton of money and be great. But if it lollygags around, we're going to have a problem. And so the next question someone might say is, well, Anne-Marie, you're feeling pretty bullish right there. A market doesn't look tremendously bullish. True, but Lilly is very institutionally owned. Let's go to the monthly chart and make sure that it can propagate here. It's very institutionally owned, and every single time we've come down into this area, every time, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here's another one, 5. Every time we've come into this area within the last 10 to 12 months, we've bounced right off the zone. In the next couple of days, I think it's going to do it. One-sided trade. If you want to trade on the other side, you can. I just don't know that it's telling us that right now. I really don't. Okay, so there's that one.
I like that Lilly one. I might try to get that one filled myself.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah.
Actually, I like it. I took a snapshot of it, so I'm going to try and do that myself also. Okay, so someone said UNH.
Yep.
This is a very well-run company. Now they introduced increased Medicare payments for this whole group. That's why they were sort of running off the rails a couple of days ago. Is this a storyboard?
And urge investors to review insurance policies. I'm looking for that in the news here.
Ooh, this is an earnings trade here.
Yeah, this is earnings in 2 days. This is the CEO. Remember, was murdered in New York.
Oh yeah.
And so there. Let's see. This had a buy rating yesterday.
Let's see what they do normally for earnings. All right, let's look at the last 3 earnings events. Gapped up, gave up the high, and then continued to run for 4 days, went sideways, and then ran a bunch more. Okay. Here, gapped up, held the high, ran for another day, pulled back, and held sideways. So really, we only need to hold this for maybe 2-3 days after the earnings, because that's going to tell us where it's going to go, or the butterfly is going to leak, right? Because it moves all sideways like this, that makes the butterfly erode very, very quickly. All right, so let's look at both sides. 550 is resistance. So if it bounces there and then dances a little bit and runs up, next line in the sand, 570. So we're looking for a spread that's 20 wide. Okay. If it breaks support, that looks like 520. Next heavy congestion is 509. So we definitely are looking at a 20-point spread.
Okay.
So let's see how expensive that gets. We don't want to do it on the 17th. We could do it on the 24th. Let's see if we can get ourselves a double butterfly here and see what it gives us. 525. Whoa. All right. Let's see if we can do a 1 by ooh, options very thin. Can't do it then. Is it a little better here? A little better. Okay. 520. Maybe we do 15 so we can actually pay for this stinker. 520, 505, $15 down would be 480. No, 490. 490. $1.54. $15 wide. That's on the upside. That's pretty expensive, but the move looks, if it catches, it could be dramatic. Now you might say, Anne-Marie, why not start at where you think the middle strike is, lower the risk from the entry perspective, and then try it for 10 points and see what happens. If we do that, it becomes 39 cents. But here's the thing. You're going to have to be quick strike on this if it comes down, because it's very likely to be reflexive and recover. So you want to keep your eyes really tight on this, but that's a nice, cheap move. If we go $40,
really quickly, Emery, I'm looking at that. It looks like the volume traded in those strikes very, very light.
Yes,
in some cases, maybe. What is it if you change this to like the monthly expiry instead of a weekly expiry? Does that still give us reasonable parameters, or is that just too much time? That's about the same.
Yeah, here's the thing about the time. So if you levered this position, so for instance, it collapses to 500 in the first couple of days, right? And then it starts to lift. What I like to do is sell the long spread, the 50 to 490, but it leaves me open for the risk and uses margin for the short 490, 480. Now, because it's so far away, the movement is not going to be dramatic. You might end up getting dramatic. You might end up getting 30%, 30, 40%, not 100. Now,
okay.
The flip side to that is that 1, you get the fill. 2, if there's an extended move and it continues, you're going to be in nice shape for a good trade. Okay, so let's take a look at the call side. 5, maybe we could do 560. If we did 560 to 570 to 580, 70 cents. So the combined, if you set out and you said, listen, I only want to spend $1 on this. So I'm going to try and buy this one for 45 and buy this one for 65. All you really have at risk is $100.
Well, 110, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm saying if you tried to get one for 45 and the other one for 55.
55, yeah.
Yeah. So you'll be looking somewhere around. Look at this. It's moving all over the place. Yeah, I would try to get this on the cheap. Try and spend as little as you can. Try to get it for 80, 90 cents combined. And then you're sitting at something and you go, hey, if this thing runs, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And here's what I'm seeing. With these latest earnings releases, that price action is not, take a look at what's happened to Delta. Massive earnings, right? They did fantastic. Absolutely fantastic in their earnings space. And although they had a pretty nice bounce, let's hope that I was right here. This comes back.
Well, you were right about them beating earnings. That was a nice beat on the top and the bottom line.
Absolutely. So. And it went savagely all the way up to almost 69. And today it's 5% off that number. So you
had to be pretty quick. You basically probably had to sell that on that day in order to get that trade booked.
If you're looking for that. Exactly. And so what I am seeing is this is absolutely fantastic, but then everything looks like it's going to dribble off. And so my thought with earnings positions right now, I want to see how the market treats those who are doing well and those who are doing poorly.
So then the question there about UNH, I was basically asking, should we select a monthly in order to get the trade filled? You're cautioning, saying, you know what, the time is actually a factor in this trade, and maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think there's a good argument for each of them. The question is, are you the type of person that deliberates a long time? It's much better to hold the longer positions because the further away it is, the less dramatically it moves if something drastic happens.
Sure.
And you want something drastic to happen on either side because you're positioned for it.
Sure.
So, yeah, I like your thought of saying, hey, we've got more, we just have a lot more opportunity if we're thinking about positioning there if we just give it a little bit of time.
Okay.
You said on or deer?
Yeah. Those were two other ones. I mean, obviously we have a slate full of bank earnings we can look at for this week too. But ON was one of the stocks that we were looking at. That came off of an article that one of the store retailers, Fleet Feet, was just not able to meet the demand.
I heard you talking about them not having your shoe size.
Yeah, well, so it was an interesting thing because it was an article where that 13 had linked, and the CEO was talking about this. And I'm reading this article. I recently bought ON shoes, so I was kind of just intrigued as it is. And I'm reading this article, and I'm like, oh my God, my experience in the store is exactly what these people are describing. So clearly, this is something that is spread across the entire business. There's some other details in there that might not be important for the trade, but this stock looks to be set up for a pretty awesome 2025. And I'm curious to hear what you think, but I'm just kind of looking at a daily chart here. This also kind of looks like this wants to test 60 and move higher.
Well, I mean, the trend is definitely up. The question might be, when we have supplier issues, how are those getting fixed? And
well, that's the thing. I'm not sure from that article that it actually is a supplier issue. I almost think it's a demand issue, as in these shoes are too hot. We cannot keep them in stock because they eventually get them, and I can go elsewhere and get, like, I ordered mine from Zappos just because I wanted them sooner.
Very good.
So
did you pay more for them going to that other
going
outlet?
to Zappos than Fleet Feet? No. In fact, I probably paid less.
Interesting.
They actually sent me a free pair, but I'm trying not to broadcast that.
All right. Well, the trend is definitely up. So in these last couple of minutes, let's see what the chains look like.
Okay.
Oh, wait. When do they report?
Let me get that for you here.
Oh, it looks like it's a ways away. Not to worry. No problem.
Yeah, I don't think that's one of the close ones here, but I'm going to get that date for you nonetheless because that's going to be important. They might have also not confirmed it yet.
60.
We are estimating that for March 11th. They have not confirmed. We got plenty of time.
I'm almost done. 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So this is pretty interesting. That February has, look at how big that is. It looks like maybe somebody is either selling a strangle or has got a synthetic long. So it might be they're buying the 60s and selling the 55s. That's a synthetic long because it's got, notice I have, the delta is very close to 1,000, which is what it would be if I bought just, 10 at 60. That's very interesting. Okay. Of course, a synthetic long does require margin. I don't talk about them very much. They do it for credit. We could, let's see what they've got it priced out in April. 57.50 and then 60 again. So we could do the 60, 70, 80 butterfly. It's $1.34, but it's $1,000 to the upside. Or we could do a 1x3 by 2. We do, I'll say this, but I'll really mean 75. And that's 119, so it's a little bit cheaper. Oh, I'm not as enthusiastic about the breakaway in the near term here. And it might just be because of my overall caution in the market. What I do see is a lot of volatility, right? The band is getting wider here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to punt.
Okay.
Right here on that one. 2 secs. No, I don't have time. I was gonna go quickly for no. Did we do UNH? No,
Yeah, we did UNH already.
DE. Industrials are screaming, and it's because the dollar is so high. They're going to have, I think they're going to have tremendous pricing power. Somebody came back at me and said, yeah, but the goods are going to be more expensive. When you have the perception of having a person that's commander in chief that is in charge, a lot of times people just don't want to rock the boat. And so they go, yeah, sure, whatever. And so I think that they might be having this kind of flutter event up here. I don't love the way they are looking these industrials. They look generally like they're in a sideways pattern to me. So I would only do iron condors there. But that's it for me. 11:30 on the nose.
Okay, well done yet again, Anne-Marie. We missed you on Friday. We're going to have you again for this Friday, though. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Really good stuff here again. Thanks for your time. So we'll see you tonight.
Yes.
And then again on Friday.
Yes. Sounds awesome.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Have a great one and enjoy the rest of your week. We'll follow up with Anne-Marie on Friday. Folks, that's going to do it for us here today. It is 11:30. It's been a good morning. Been an interesting start to the week here. Tomorrow, be sure to join us tomorrow as we get CPI and we start